I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Tito Santana.
This is Kurt Angle.
This is Bret the Hitman Hart, and this is going out to Scott and Holly.
You are listening to the
Win Twice Wrestling Podcast
with Scott and Holly.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
And this ho's for everybody. Ho!
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to listen to the incomparable Win Twice Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Scott and Holly. We always go over, brother, and that's the bottom line. Dig it? So sit back, relax, and prepare to be entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 77 of the Win Twice Wrestling Podcast alongside your hosts Scott and Holly.
Hello.
How you doing, Holly?
I'm warm.
It's warm, isn't it? It's a bit muggy. It's a bit muggy. A lot of fucking mugs I've been dealing with lately. Sorry, I'm letting my real life kind of slip into that one there.
Wow.
Do you know what might have gone under the radar? No one might have noticed. But we're back. We're doing part 2 of SummerSlam 1992. And I reckon it was warmer now than it was then.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Got in the car on the way back from work, 32 degrees, casually.
Yeah, mine's at 36. But
36?
That's inside. The temperature measures the inside of the car.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought my wife's did as well, but
Yeah, I don't
maybe
know.
you were more directly in the sun.
Leather seats.
12, really?
Mm-hmm. Burning.
That'll do it. Good job you weren't wearing like shorts or a skirt or something. That would have been absolute agony. I burnt my thingy on the...
Who?
My thingy
Oh,
on
okay.
the... ick.
Okay.
Yeah,
little
that's
bit,
good.
yeah,
On my
a little bit,
thingy, pressing the button to get the window to come down. That alone burnt me. So
Oh.
really good, positive stuff. And we also nearly got in a car crash as well as we were leaving. Do you see that?
No.
Oh, okay. Because a car slowed down, then indicated to go down there. Just changed their mind, carried on driving as we were pulling out. So
So,
that was good, really good. But yeah. So where we left off
yep.
after part 1.
Yeah.
Repo Man versus Crush, potential
Ooh,
match of the night.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, really good.
5-starer.
Yeah, really good. 1 star in my book. But yeah, so we're back. I mean, to be fair, there's not a great deal of matches left on the card, but there are 2 big uns.
Ooh,
And there's a beer run match, as you would eloquently put it. It's just before the main event. But again, I'm not going to jump ahead because before that match, we go backstage once again. Speaking of Mean Gene, we head backstage to him, which I wasn't, by the way, just to be clear, but Mean Gene was the last comment I made at the end of episode, the first part. So if you listen to them consecutively, bar me having a bit of a meltdown at the start of this episode, in many respects, that would have made sense. So there you go. We head backstage to him once more, and he says that we are just moments away from the main event of the evening, happening halfway through the show. Is it a main event? Between Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior for the WWF title. So I'm going to ask you before we get there.
Yes.
Obviously, I think at this stage you would have already known this match was on the card.
Definitely by this stage, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they keep doing the whole knocking on the door, right?
Of course, yes.
If I didn't,
How did I forget that?
I know I'm a bit slow, but if I didn't, I would willingly have you have me sectioned by this point.
Okay, well, it'd make for a very interesting dual podcast going forward with me just asking you questions, sat there in silence going, I don't know what to do with that. Yeah. We've seen them obviously have a match before at WrestleMania 7.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't for the title at the time, it was a career match. This, funnily enough, is happening after that.
Yeah, funny enough.
What was going through your head?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Really looking forward to it.
Okay, well, I'll ask you whose corner you're in when we get there, but I think I know the answer. But I think it will be tougher than most, but I still think I know the answer. Not only that, we're just moments away from finding out, of course, whose corner Mr. Perfect is in. Personally, I never gave a fuck. And it's about the 70th time that they've mentioned it on the show so far, so good. From the moment the match was signed, controversy abounded. We see past footage of the 2 men nose to nose in heated discussion. As Warrior begins to walk away, we see the Nature Boy, Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect appear through the crowd and enter the ring. Mr. Perfect begins taunting the WWF champion, referring to him as the Macho Chicken, that's a good burn, sick burn, and Savage sprints down to the ring. Well, it did the job actually, so I don't know why I'm criticising. Wiping out a cameraman in his haste. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. That was amazing. Yep. That was a big plus for me. in his haste and taking the ring apron with him
Yes,
into
I
the
did
ring.
see that, yes.
Yeah. Mr. Perfect begins taunting the WWF champion, referring to him as the man. We've done that. Instead of targeting Mr. Perfect, Savage tackles Ric Flair to the canvas and begins throwing punches until Perfect starts choking him with his belt. Why would you do that? If the person's going, do you think, I fancy my chances more against...
Yeah, well,
Nate?
yeah.
To be fair, in a legitimate fight, I would sooner go after Flair than Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect's got an amateur wrestling background. Ric Flair, less so, shall we say.
Right.
I think both would kick my ass, but I'm saying if I have to go for one, going for Flair.
Yeah.
I think so. Savage does really well here, looks like a hero, and gets choked with a belt for his troubles. Ultimate Warrior has seen enough and runs down to the ring to make the save, causing both heels to make a retreat. Where was anyone when Virgil was getting attacked earlier in the show?
Oh,
No one came out for him.
No.
Well, that's what happens when you're too legit to quit. Some people just don't
True.
know how to handle that. Following this, in another taping, we see Ric Flair and the Ultimate Warrior face to face, where the Nature Boy informs him that Randy Savage was trying to cut a deal with Mr. Perfect to accompany him down to the ring at SummerSlam. We see Mr. Perfect interrupt a Randy Savage interview to say that due to his demand, the ante for Mr. Perfect to be in someone's corner at SummerSlam has now gone sky high. On WWF Primetime, we see the controversial tag team match where champion and challenger were on the same side. We can tell based on the nature of the tags that they are not harmonious. Trouble in paradise. More importantly, Holly, what do you think of Ultimate Warrior wearing a skin-coloured singlet? Go.
Do you know what? Don't mind it.
What is it about it you don't mind? Because
It's-
normally this would offend you.
It normally would, but I think because it also looks like it's not there. Like
Yes.
it's very good. It's very well done. Unlike it kind of when it was closer, it gave me who was the
Giant
guy?
Gonzalez.
Thank you. It was like a really good version of that.
Yes, well, Ultimate Warrior still fundamentally had muscles.
Exactly.
So that's a strong starting point.
So I quite liked it. It kind of gave me the vibe of this. Oh, it's not going to make sense, but you know when you've got those science books, and you've got a person's body, and then it shows you like the inside.
Yeah.
Like it kind of like takes off the first layer of skin, if you know
the
what I mean.
epidermis, if you will.
And then
yeah.
you can see the tendons and the
Yeah.
ligaments and all that stuff. Like, it kind of gave me that vibe.
So it's a bit Clash of the Titans,
I
which is a
liked
reference
it.
that would have gone straight over your head.
Yes, absolutely.
But-
I liked it. I felt good.
Okay, do you know why he wore it?
He can't have been conscious about his body, surely, because that would be ridiculous.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, so-
because this is the same era that Savage was also wearing a t-shirt too. Now.
Yeah, Savage, I don't know how much of a say Warrior had on his. Savage chose to do that
Yes.
himself because he'd gone off
Less-
steroids to
yeah.
try and procreate with Elizabeth. But this again was the steroid-free era kicking in with the trial of Dr. Zahorian, eventually
Yes.
Vince McMahon, and Warrior had to get off the gas.
Right.
And
Still
even though he
looks
still has a good physique,
amazing.
we all saw what it was like before.
Right. Okay.
And to be fair, if you're that, let's be honest, if in professional wrestling, there's a lot of sensitive egos, shall we say, and it's a delicate game that you have to play. Certainly, I imagine at the higher level in an industry or a company specifically, I should say, where the look was everything. So having been as big as he was, to then completely go off, and even though he still has by any stretch of the imagination
immense physique.
immense
yeah.
physique, he's comparing it with what he had.
Right.
I'll be honest, I don't know if that was something that, where they do with Baron Corbin in his sad tummy, they said, like, put a top on. I would imagine it was probably a decision that he came to off the back of it. I'm okay with it to a point. It's not as good. It's not as good.
It's not as good, but it's still good, if you know what I mean.
It's fine. I
Yeah.
accept it, and there's worse examples of it.
He's all right to join the you can wear a unitard club for me.
Okay, which is weird, because normally it depends on amateur wrestling credentials as well, which
Yeah.
he, no,
No, I know.
absolutely not. And yet, Bron Breakker doesn't have the allowance from you.
No,
Strange.
no.
Okay, during the tag team match, Warrior is crashing into Randy Savage, knocking him off the apron, courtesy of the Nasty Boys, which explains their little angle. Just not a fan of the Nasty Boys, are you, to
No,
be fair?
no.
What is it? Is
I
it?
just don't
Are
like
they
them.
not pretty enough?
It's not even that.
No, it's just their
It's
general...
just irritating, which again, probably maybe,
Yeah.
I don't want to say they're doing a good job. Just annoying.
Well, they're usually doing the job, in fact, but not on this occasion, because, well, I'll tell you why, quite frankly. Obviously, the WWF champion did not see what caused him to get knocked off the apron, and champion and challenger are once again at each other's throats, eventually losing the match. With the referee out of action, the Nature Boy Mr. Perfect jump Warrior as the Nasty Boys focus on the WWF champion. Eventually, the Ultimate Warrior chases after Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect, leaving Randy Savage to fend for himself. We return to Mean Gene, who says, let's not wait any longer, could have done without all the preamble, I'll be honest, and get started with the main event of SummerSlam, halfway through the show. We head back down to the commentary position at ringside, where McMahon tells Heenan to remove that stupid crown. Doesn't do that to Lawler. He rarely wears it, to be fair,
Just has it there.
later on, but to be fair, early on actually he did wear it quite a lot, and tells him that he looks like a poster boy for a margarine commercial. Okay. Whilst Vince, I'm sure there was an advert with someone with a crown in it or something. I have no idea. American butter, maybe, or margarine, I guess, because I've said margarine. Whilst Vince says that we know Ric Flair and whilst Vince says that we know Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect are somewhere in the building, we do not know exactly where they are, and he suggests that the brain knows more than he is letting on. Heenan is incredulous at this suggestion and says that he would tell Vince if he knew. The brain is a broadcast journalist, and it is his job to tell us what he knows, but he told us Flair and Mr. Perfect would not tell him their plans. McMahon continues to needle him, saying that he knows who sold out. Was it the Warrior? ? No response from the brain, which Vince takes as him suggesting it is the challenger who has indeed changed his allegiance. Heenan again says that he did not say that, and as McMahon concedes the point and passes over to Howard Finkel, the brain mutters something about Savage under his breath, which has Vince yelling, "What? What?" Right, which is great, and he goes, only for Bobby to respond with, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is. Oh, it's more likely to be that. What? Sorry.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Really well done. Really well done. But Holly, we
Yes.
are now at the WWF title match, midway through the show.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm fine with that, given what actually goes on at the end of the show. Fine by me.
Yeah.
You're thinking, what was the main event? Oh my god, if you can't remember, we got real
No,
problems.
I'm there. No,
There we go.
Yeah, sorry. It's hot. Light bulb just took a little while to turn on.
Fine. Macho Man Randy Savage versus the Ultimate Warrior.
Yay.
Whose corner are you in?
This was actually really hard. Really hard to choose. Because I actually really like both of them. But it's got to be Savage all day.
Okay, and I thought it would be Savage, but I thought the fact that he didn't have Liz with him might actually knock him down slightly, giving the Warrior more of a chance, more of a look in.
It probably helped.
Yep.
Like, it make it a teeny little bit more even.
And
but
given how they, I would say, over-delivered at WrestleMania 7 in terms of in-ring perspective, storyline was great, to be fair, but I really enjoyed that match, even though it goes on for a long time.
Yes.
And I thought that one went on for a long time. And I was thinking, will they be able to capture that magic again? Because it's a tough ask.
It is.
It's a tough ask. A couple of years have gone by.
If you raise a bar, you're going to, screw
Only
yourself
fall
for
short-
future endeavours.
Unless you're that Swedish pole vaulter who has broken the world record 12 times, which is just taking the piss. And I respect it.
Yeah, for sure.
I forget his name. To be honest, don't care. It's okay. So I'm gonna guess that you try again. Keep your expectations low,
Always.
but you're expecting something good, right?
I was a bit hopeful.
Okay, bit
Considering, I think it's not even for me. It's not when I consider who the people are. It's when I like them.
Yep.
If I like someone, I'll have a hope. I'll have a low expectation, but I'll have a hope that it'll be all right.
Okay.
God, this does sound like a therapy session, doesn't it?
A little bit. I was going
I
to say.
didn't mean it to either.
No, that's fine.
Wow, I didn't realise how that translated into actual real life.
As long as you're happy. I was thinking there's a lot of correlations here to be had.
No,
actually.
I didn't realise that was really a thing.
Okay, good.
Wow, free therapy.
Well, you're welcome. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is out there for everyone to listen back to,
Well,
for anyone having
hey,
similar issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's begin. As usual, the Ultimate Warrior sprints his way down to the ring, which, given the length of the R-Way, must have really fucked him. Great Union Jack themed jacket on the challenger, and on commentary we hear them say that as Mr. Perfect has not entered alongside him, that must mean Randy Savage has turned his back on the fans. Out to the ring second is the WWF champion, Macho Man Randy Savage. I have already asked you that question about who you're siding with. As Savage is halfway down the aisle, we hear Heenan say that something is not right. One of them must be bluffing and trying to pull a fast one, as Mr. Perfect is not accompanying either man to the ring. Ooh. I know. The drama still, unfortunately, continues. The number of different colours that are in the ring alone in this match is astounding. I would go as far as saying that some of those colours haven't even yet been discovered. It is an assault visually.
Isn't it?
It's like, because we've still got the tassels of Warrior, we've got the face paint, we've got his kind of, I don't know, fun mum hair that's kind of, do you know what I mean? The dry, crunchy, messy look.
Yeah.
We got Savage, who looks like a neon.
Like he fell into a rainbow.
He did. He fell into a rainbow. And if you ask me, he's a little bit pink, to quote Jim Duggan. But it's quite a lot to take in.
It is.
And I know you would say that you run the risk of being overstimulated at times.
Sometimes.
From a visual perspective.
No, it was good.
Okay.
It was good also because I suppose, Warrior's got the colours on him in certain places, but his midsection is all pretty
that's fair.
Neutral.
He's got a couple, like the heart painting, hasn't he, on his...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The brain asks if he can leave to go find out where Mr. Perfect is, but he's told to stay exactly where he is by McMahon. The bell sounds, yet neither man have removed their entrance attire. This annoys me.
It weirdly annoyed me too, actually, but it happened in almost every match this night.
Yep.
The bell goes, well, still got 5 minutes to get undressed.
I was just thinking as well, because obviously they had the champion come out in the correct order in this match. It's tough when Ultimate Warrior comes out first. Because it feels like it's high energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I feel like...
Yeah, true.
Not that I condone having the champion come out first, but I would have kind of understood it a little bit here, actually.
Ooh, okay.
Only because, like I said, Warrior is very difficult to match.
Yeah.
And especially with Savage, great music, great entrance attire, slower pace, more methodical. He's not being carried out in a regal way, so it didn't quite have the same impact. It's like how we said, do you remember when we were talking about how great Bret Hart's entrances normally are?
Yeah.
Then at WrestleMania 12, we got Shawn Michaels coming down from the ceiling, and Bret Hart comes out after, and you go, whoa, that's wrong. This is a little bit of that for me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They both slowly walk to the middle of the ring with their arms outstretched in deep conversation. I want to see if you spotted this as well. Savage extends his hand to the challenger as a gesture of goodwill, although Warrior questions his intentions by signalling the cash money sign, rubbing his fingers together. Warrior is heard asking if this is just for the strap and whether this is all about respect. RSEPECT. I'll say that again. RSEPECT.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he goes, RSEPECT. And I went, no, do that again. So I had to rewind it several times. I went, he's definitely doing this wrong, isn't he? He is. Guess they don't teach spelling on whatever planet the Ultimate Warrior comes from. After a great deal of deliberation, the two men do shake hands, but neither are willing to let go and begin shoving one another in the face. When they do break their grip, they tear their own jackets off, ready to get the action underway. Hello! I
mean, maybe do that first, I'll be honest.
Yeah, don't ring the bell.
Yeah.
They circle one another, and Savage's forefinger... Oh, yeah, okay, that does make sense. They circle one another, and Savage's forefinger circles the air. So, like he's whipping cream. As you do with your forefinger, apparently. The crowd are raucous is what I've actually tried to put there. Raucous, and we can hear them chant Warrior. Like, they were unbelievably on the side of Warrior, which kind of surprising to a point.
A bit, yeah, and I think because you hear them chant so much for him, I think you kind of would expect to hear more boos for Savage, but weirdly, I think as the match goes on, it's kind of...
Cheers for both.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine.
Which is great.
But they also, it's with being the UK fans, their emphasis on their chants isn't the same as the normal cadence of the US, so instead of, like,
it's just a
the
football
States...
chant over and over again, just saying Warrior or Savage at the end.
True, but, like, for example, the Americans would be Warrior.
Yeah.
UK was Warrior. Warrior, warrior, warrior. Like, they're kind of condensing it as like the syllables come out along the way. But yeah, and like I said, I think I mentioned it in part one that this kind of made me feel vindicated. Like, oh, I was right to like the Warrior because clearly everyone else did as well at the time. It's that toddler energy. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They lock up and Warrior ends up backed against the ropes after a late shift of position, but we do get a clean break. They lock up for a second time and Savage is sent flying across the ring off a shove. The champion backs into the challenger. And the champion back into the challenger. I don't remember that at all. And delivers a knee to the midsection before levelling him with a southpaw clothesline before scoring with one to the back of the head. Early cover, but it's barely enough for a count of 1. Strong kick out sees Savage climb to the top rope, but he leaps directly into a right hand to the stomach. Delayed atomic drop from Warrior, who is pumping his arms to the heavens. Warrior lifts the champion onto his shoulder and takes a tour of the ring with his right arm raised before connecting with an inverted atomic drop. For some reason, Vince calls this a reverse pile drive.
Yeah.
In some respects, I guess it would drive any piles that were hanging out right back up Randy's chute.
Okay, I'm glad that I put reverse atomic, so
Yeah.
okay.
It was ridiculous.
Confusing.
Clothesline puts Savage down and we get a near fall. Running shoulder tackle, make it 2, but the challenger misses with an elbow drop, allowing Savage to unload with side-mounted right hands. Also, I've noticed, Holly, you might have noticed this yourself. Have you ever seen anyone in this era of professional wrestling run to hit an elbow drop and land?
No.
No. As soon as you start running, you're like, well, someone's missing. Or when they do the running splash and their arms go like a wee, like their arms fully extend, you're going to land on knees.
Yep.
Or someone's going to move out of the way. Running shoulder tackle, make it 2, we've done that. Knee drop connects and we get a count of 2. Sleeper hold applied by Savage, but Warrior gets back to his feet and breaks the hold with a chin breaker. Face first into the canvas goes Macho Man, and the Warrior once again gets a near fall. Whip sends Savage into the buckles, and a big right hand drops him hard on the canvas. Second right hand ends in the same result. The third and fourth cause the champion to slouch, and now he is whipped into the opposite buckles where Warrior can unload with kicks to the chest. Sesame Street style as the crowd counts along. Short arm clothesline puts Savage down, but he kicks out before 3. Bit of a miscue here as Savage looks to drag Warrior face first into the buckles with a handful of tights, but they're out of position, so have to make do on the second attempt, which was quite clunky, to be fair.
Yeah.
As the challenger struggles to get to his feet, he's clotheslined over the top and down to the blue mats. The champion catapults himself over the top and down to the outside to retrieve his challenger, who he returns to the ring, but it is not enough for 3. Savage heads to the top rope and connects with a double axe handle to the face as Vince cries, "Just like the Tower of London." What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
If you said London Bridge, yeah, sure, Savage fell down. But Tower of London, he jumps off and punches him in the face.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll be honest,
answers on the
it's
back of
weird.
the postcard. Was it just Vince being a bit of a klutz? He returns back to the top and connects with a second before hooking the leg for a 1-2 no. Third time is certainly not a charm for the champion, who is caught by Warrior in mid-air. That's impressive.
Very impressive.
The challenger walks around the ring with one arm raised for far too long before connecting with a backbreaker for the 1-2 no. It annoys me because why the fuck would Savage just say, oh, okay, this is my lot now. I just stay here. Savage and Warrior's going, yeah, I've got him. You look a twat. To the point where, I don't know because I'm obviously not a wrestler, but I feel like if someone was doing that and I'm thinking this is really not believable that I'd still be in this position, I'm going to just not actually hit the guy, but do worked elbows and go fucking hurry up,
right,
because
yeah.
it looks stupid. It's an exaggerate. It's more annoying to me this than Undertaker's old school.
Is it?
Because Savage just jumped and was caught. At least Undertaker's twisting your arm a bit so you can pretend that you're in so much pain you can't really think to do anything, whereas Savage is just there.
Yeah, true.
Or again, John Cena put someone on their shoulders. This is still early, and they just go, okay, I'll just stay here.
No, not a fan.
Irksome.
Ooh.
Very irksome.
Irksome.
Yeah. The challenger walks around the ring with one arm for too long. Yep. Into the buckles goes the champion, and he is whipped across into the opposite corner. Big right hand drops Savage hard. Another corner whip sees Macho Man hit hard, and we get another for good measure. Final big whip into the buckles sees Savage stagger out and into a brief bear hug before being tossed down to the canvas. That was a crisis averted there, wasn't it?
Yes.
Cover gets a count of 2. Warrior. Sidewalk slam by Warrior also gets a near fall. Heenan is adamant that Mr. Perfect would not lie to him, and he told him he would be in someone's corner for this match. He just cannot believe it. Warrior looks for a body slam but is countered into a small package that gets a 2 count.
Yay.
Warrior ducks too early off a whip and is dropped with a swinging neck breaker. For some reason, the challenger is clutching at his jaw, so that is a unique sell for this move, and we get a near fall. He was like, honestly, I don't know, it's like he'd been punched in the jawline or something. Savage points to the sky and runs towards the ropes, jumping over the top, driving Warrior's neck into the top rope. Somehow, this is still not enough for 3. Big fan of that move, by the way.
Yeah,
Big fan of that move.
I like it. Considering it's also like a neck thing.
Yep.
I don't mind it.
Oh, yeah, because to be fair, he's literally
than...
just still making sure his hand's in contact with them all the way down. So them running into it is entirely on that individual, which is good. Yes, the champion is favouring his back, but still looks to connect with a suplex, but cannot complete the move. Warrior has seen the weakness and delivers big clubbing forearms to the lower portion of the spine. Warrior is favouring his neck, but now it is his turn to attempt a suplex, which he manages to achieve. 1, 2, no. Savage is propped up against the ropes, but he's playing possum as Warrior charges and he ducks, causing the challenger to crash down to the outside. The champ heads to the top, and with a great camera angle from down below, we see Savage connect with a double axe handle to the back of the Warrior's neck. Yes, it's a double axe handle. Very good visual.
Yes, agreed. We know how much I hate those two, so...
We do. Heenan calls Savage a dummy for not wanting to win by count-out as the champion rams Warrior into the steel steps. Savage enters the ring to break the count before returning to drive the challenger face first into the ring post.
Thank God. Do you know how long I waited for one of these?
It's the only one you get, I think, as well.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yep.
Drink.
There it is. The one drink of the night that you're allowed.
Oh, make it a big one.
Yep. And a drink as well. McMahon says that Savage wants to prove a point. To who? And then Vince goes, to himself. It's a fair point by Heenan.
Okay.
Like, what?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Macho Man unloads with a series of kicks to the ribs before returning Warrior into the ring. Cover gets a very close 2 count. In unison, the fans begin to boo as making their way down to the ring is Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect.
Of course.
Meanwhile, in the ring, Savage attempts a pile driver but is backdropped out of position. However, he does manage to secure, easy for me to say, a sunset flip pin that nearly earns him the victory. Big clothesline from Warrior, who collapses into a cover for another near fall, and we can see that from a distance the Nature Boy and his advisor are halfway down towards the ring. That is a long aisleway.
Isn't it just?
Yep. Body slam to the champion. Only one person gets this right, by the way, travelling down to the ring today, and we haven't yet got there in the show. Might be in the next match, okay? Body slam to the champion, and the way that the Warrior is nursing his head, it reminds me of that Kylie Minogue music video. Because he's literally
Can't get you out of my head.
Yeah,
but moving her head around.
But he's literally like holding his head, doing those.
It's like he's got water in his ears.
Oh yeah, like he's
Like
trying to
like,
smack it out.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
dip it from side to side. I'm so glad people can't see some of the like movements that.
Yeah. Weirdly, I was doing it more than you were, and you
Yeah.
were trying to explain it. But isn't that one of the best feelings when it actually kind of gets free, and then you come out, you're like, "Hello."
I can hear again.
Yes, but it's weirdly like, because it's kind of gross when you think about it. But it's the feeling the warm trickle come out your ear, and you're like, yeah, that's good. For some reason, Warrior briefly heads onto the apron before returning to deliver the running splash, but all he finds is a pair of knees to the chest, and I forgot he did the running whee. In the background, we can see Mr. Perfect do his sensational chewing gum spit and slap combination, as inside the ring, Savage gets another near fall close to the ropes. Warrior reverses a whip but misses a clothesline, and both men level each other on the return journey. Did I tell you about the chewing gum story that I had at school once?
I don't know.
Where I tried to mimic the Mr. Perfect thing.
I don't know.
So just take my word for it. I tried this several different times, not with the same piece of gum, I'm not an animal.
Yeah.
Over, I'd say, sustained few weeks. I hit it twice cleanly, and one time, the first time I did it successfully, actually Niall was there, but I'll tell you why he was a bit more fortunate. He was standing on the far left, one of my mates was in the middle, and without thinking, I went boom, and I caught it, and I smacked it straight into my mate's face. And the look on his face, honestly, he could have been throwing punches at me. I was laughing so hard because I just wasn't thinking. Like, obviously, if I do then catch it, and again, I would go and get it if I missed and put it in the bin. I'm not an animal. But yeah, and I just smacked it in the side of his face. That one I didn't get because I forgot. I was laughing too much afterwards. So, my bad, society. But, so funny, just the look on his face. It was just one of pure, I can't believe what's just happened here. Same bloke, though. I think it was that year, actually. It snowed heavily. Had a snowball thrown at him as we were coming out the sixth form block. and it was mainly ice as well. And I saw it coming, and I caught it in front of his face, so that would have hurt. So I feel like I've balanced the karma out there a little bit, maybe. But yeah, really, he makes it look easy, and it is so not easy.
Is that?
Yeah, if you can, try it in your house.
Yeah,
you're gonna want to now. That's the thing. It's so tough, and I've got good hand-eye coordination as well.
I will try it, but I take your word for it.
You can do it with anything, like popcorn seeds or something. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, she's not going to do it. I can tell by her face. There was an intrigue. There is an intrigue there, but
Yeah,
not much of a spitter, are you? Bless. Both men are down, and it's noticeable that Mr. Perfect has not headed to either man's corner since making it to ringside.
How rude!
What?
How rude! That stunned me into silence for a little while. How rude!
Oh, no, you read into that. You read into that. Both men are down, and it is notable Warrior is first to half make it to his feet, where he collapses in a pinning position for a near fall. Savage now collapses into a pin and also gets a near fall. The champ hits the ropes, and he is tripped over by Mr. Perfect. Vince is screaming on commentary that now we know whose side he is on. Savage points an accusatory finger at the man who tripped him and beckons him to enter the ring. Behind him, Warrior has made it to his feet and lands a big right hand. He looks punch drunk though and struggles to capitalise. Double-handed choke lift, and Savage is dumped towards the corner. Whip to the buckles, and you guessed it, Earl Hebner is trapped in between Savage and the padding.
My guy,
he's back. By the way, Earl Hebner has a book. Will I be buying it? Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good.
Now you're thinking, oh shit, I kind of want to see that myself.
I do too, yeah.
That'd have been interesting actually if you started picking up wrestling books out of this just to find out.
I like reading, so maybe.
Yeah, honestly, the ones I've read are fascinating. To be fair, I don't actually have any in this room. To be fair with me, I think most of them are downstairs. But to the point where, for the sake of this, I might actually start reading more of them actively, just so I can then use that for something we may or may not be doing on YouTube. But yeah, really, as a general rule, really good reads. You just have to bear in mind that they're still in the professional wrestling business, and you can't take 100% of what they say.
No matter who it is, there's always three sides to every story.
Yeah, their side, someone else's side, and the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah, and for most people, you can kind of pick up where they're fabricating. One of the better ones I read in terms of an actual book from start to finish, and I've actually got it downstairs to be fair if you want to borrow it, is Bret Hart's book.
Oh yeah.
Really good. Because he was an active note taker throughout his career. So he was referring to that, but he often always feels like he was wronged and etc. etc. Mostly right, sometimes maybe not so, but I digress. Behind him, Warrior has made it to his feet and lands a big right hand. No, he looks punch drunk. We have done that. Oh, yeah, Earl gets sandwiched. Big body slam by the challenger in the middle of the ring, and Warrior looks almost out on his feet as he slowly begins to climb the turnbuckles. Well, he doesn't do this. This is weird.
I know.
Double axe handle lands to the top of the head, and he falls in position for the cover. Hebner slowly gets into position himself and makes the count for 1, 2, no. Warrior can't believe it and questions the count of the official. Savage is back on his feet and scores with a running knee to the back that sends the challenger clattering into the hapless Earl Hebner, which sends him through the ropes and down to the floor. What I like that is Earl preempted he was getting clattered because he actually starts diving out before he even gets made contact with. Probably safer now that I think about it.
Considering what we've seen him do.
Oh, he rolled his ankle walking.
I mean, this guy.
Brutal pile driver by Savage, but there's no referee to make the count. Nasty.
I hate it.
I know you do. Macho Man is the quick pile drivers I find more palatable. It's when they're upside down for a long time and then get dropped. I'm thinking there's too much room for error here.
Don't wait. I
feel like you should fall, and when they go straight down, I feel like you should go backwards more. So
I see.
Yeah.
To kind of,
because if I was delivering,
lessen a bit of risk.
If I was delivering a pile driver, I'm going so far backwards it doesn't look like a pile driver. I'm letting the guy fucking land on me.
Yeah.
Well, there's an image for everyone out there. Just when it looks like he might be trying to... Macho Man heads to the floor to revive Earl Hebner as Mr. Perfect enters the ring and pulls Warrior to his feet. Just when it looks like he's trying to revive him, he clutches his arms behind his back, allowing Ric Flair to deliver a right hand to the face wearing brass knuckles. The Nature Boy does adhere to etiquette, though, as he removes his robe in order to enter the ring. Good boy.
I didn't know he was wearing brass knucks.
Oh, really?
I just
he put
assumed
them on
I
his.
saw him hit him.
Yeah, no, he put his. They were white covered one, the tape cut off. I don't know why they did that, to be fair, but anyway.
Okay.
McMahon points out that Savage did not see what just happened when he re-enters the ring. Body slam by the champion, who now heads to the top rope. Now, first thing I'd say,
Yes.
didn't need to body slam him. Go straight to the top. Cut that bit out. Why have you gone back in to pick him up, to put him back down, to then go back up? He was already down. I guess
I mean,
you could say, oh, more damage, but just go straight up. Take advantage, so to speak. Say surprise. Slowly but surely, the referee gets back in. Body slam by the champion, who now heads to the top rope, where he scores with an elbow drop. Slowly but surely, the referee gets into position and makes the count of 1, 2. No, I had forgotten the result of this match, and I thought that was going to be the end, if I'm honest. I cannot believe it. Warrior kicks out is what I've put here. Mr. Perfect is whispering in the ear of Nature Boy as the challenger begins to convulse on the floor, impervious to the blows being dished out by Savage. He's ultimating up.
it doesn't sound right,
He's
does it?
warrioring up. It's like Worcestershire sauce. He's warrioring up.
Warrioring.
Yes, up. Warrior makes it all the way back to his feet and begins shaking the ropes as the punches of Macho Man do absolutely nothing. Big right hand by Warrior, who follows it with 3 consecutive clotheslines. He pulls Savage to his feet and connects with a flying shoulder tackle before signalling to the heavens. Savage is pressed into the air and dropped down to the canvas. Warrior narrowly avoids the reach of Mr. Perfect, but is struck in the back with a steel chair when he reaches the opposite ropes by Ric Flair. Both men are down again. For any of those that are uninitiated, I think it's fair to say that Flair and Perfect just want both men to suffer. Yeah. Because he's not in the match, therefore no one can play. Macho Man puts Warrior in position, but stops, looking at the 2 men standing at ringside, realising that something must have happened to put his opponent down. Perfect takes a swipe at the legs of the champion once again, and Savage swings a boot between the ropes that narrowly misses by inches. With Earl Hebner standing on the outside admonishing Mr. Perfect, Savage climbs to the top. After a few moments of contemplation, he turns his angle and jumps outward towards Ric Flair, who strikes him in the leg with a steel chair on his descent, and my God, that looked horrendous.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, because I was like, even without the chair swing, because you've got to land precariously because of that,
Yeah.
from that height at that pace, I'm thinking, my ankle's done.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I injured it kicking the ground. So, you know, on the same day that you met me actually as part of my surprise party.
Oh, yes.
That was lovely.
Yes.
That was lovely. I was on a lot of painkillers that day and got through it, thankfully. With Earl Hebner standing on the outside, and I know we've done that. Earl Hebner, we're still on Earl though. Earl Hebner is back in the ring and begins to count out Savage. Heenan says there's about 3 matches going on right here, and I'm sure Holly feels the same.
Yeah,
as soon as I heard him say that, I was like, that is like straight out of Holly's mouth.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, he is doing everything he can to win you over at this point.
He is trying.
Oh, I'm going to call him what it typo corrected him to here, because I mentioned this to you before. Metro Man cannot make it back into the ring by the count of 10, and this one is over. The winner by count out, the Ultimate Warrior. What do you think of that for an ending? Couldn't Savage get his win back?
Yeah.
Couldn't Warrior have been counted out?
I don't know. Normally I hate a count out. But I think because I like both of these, I was quite happy with neither of them losing.
One of them did lose.
No, but as in neither of them
Straight
looked,
up.
Yeah, neither of them looked the weaker of the 2, I don't believe.
Agree. Fully agree, which is why I'm saying, why didn't Warrior get counted out?
Yeah, true, actually.
Because
Warrior were both... Well, neither of them were in the ring. It should just be a straight out count out.
Yeah, even if it was a double count out,
yes,
something.
That would have made
and I don't particularly want that at Summerslam either, but if you have to.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. I hadn't thought about that.
For me, if you have to have one of them win and not do a double count out, you've got... obviously, Warrior just didn't want to do it. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong and McMahon, that was what he wanted. But to me, seems odd, because Warrior's already had his massive victory over Savage. Savage is the champion. Why did he have to lose by count? I guess Warrior's not going to jump from the top. But either way, do something else to get that. Have him go to do like a press slam, and as he picks Flair up, Perfect shoves him from behind, and Warrior knocks himself out on the ring post. Something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so a bit of a damp squib of an ending, but we go from there. As soon as the bell sounds, the Nature Boy and Mr. Perfect begin working over the legs of Savage, with the former champion applying a figure 4 leg lock on the current champion on the blue mats. Mr. Perfect is raining down right hands on Macho Man and levels the official for good measure. Bye, Earl. Warrior slowly rolls to the outside and staggers his way around the ring, grabbing the chair and snatching it out of the Nature Boy's grasp as he was looking to use it. Warrior gets a second wind as he charges after Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair up the aisle. When they have left, he slowly makes his way down to the ring where an injured Savage is awaiting. The important thing, according to McMahon, is that neither of these two men sold out to Mr. Perfect. When Howard Finkel announces the winner of the match, the crowd erupt. That being said, when Savage is announced as still being champion, the crowd still give a positive reaction overall. Warrior heads out to ringside and snatches the title belt, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. Before returning to the ring, he takes a long hard look at the title belt he once held before lifting the Macho Man onto his feet and handing him the championship with his arm raised in the air. Didn't annoy me like the Hogan one did.
No.
Because Hogan's more of a, oh, why me, brother? Whereas Warrior's like, not mine, yours.
Yep.
There you go. There is a difference. There's a way to do it.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And let's not make any pretenses about the fact that Hogan knew exactly what he was doing when he did that. Savage is selling that injury like an absolute hero. You'd think he'd be shot in the kneecap.
Yep.
As he collapses almost immediately and still struggles when he returns to his feet again. This marathon match is now over and Warrior assists Savage in hobbling back up the aisle. Rumour has it, Holly, they're still making their way back now. What are your thoughts on this match?
I actually quite liked it. I did think it did go on a little bit longer than it should have.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked it. I'm such a sucker for like a nice ending like this. Who'd have thought it, eh? 3 out of 5.
Yeah, okay. That's slightly higher than I thought you were going to give it. Mm-hmm. Higher than what I gave it. I gave it 2.25. Would have been higher if they cut some of the fluff out.
Okay.
But I didn't dislike it, certainly, especially when I realised how long it was going. Because I thought, well, if we've got the world title match now, I know we've got Bret Hart and Davey in the main event. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I forgot about the Undertaker match in between. I was like, we've got like over an hour and a half of show left here. What's happening?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening here? But it works. I don't think either man looked bad at all. Nope. Like I said, I would have switched up the finish slightly, personally. But was it enough to hate it? Not at all. It was fine. And yeah, these two work really well together.
Yeah,
Savage knows how to make Warrior look good.
Yes.
And Warrior, to be fair, does some decent selling for Savage at points as well.
Agreed.
He just does that annoy. Like I said, the carrying him around. If it was at the end of the match and you're doing that, okay. Not that early.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense. But still, surprisingly good.
Yeah, I liked it.
We once again head backstage where Mean Gene is standing between Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. Gene says that this is indeed the SummerSlam you thought you would never see, and there are things out there tonight that he thought he would never. What the hell were you trying to prove? There was no deal. Like, he cuts himself off to start yelling at Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect says that he's wrong. There was very much a deal between himself and the Nature Boy. The other deal didn't go down. Ric Flair begins screaming that he should have been the one to have had the title shot to begin with. We see one of the crew standing in the background, and when he realises this, he does move out of the shot in an amusing fashion. He's there with his arms folded and goes wide-eyed and then sidesteps. Plan A slipped by, and now they are looking at Plan B. Wait, what? Plan B, that's something else, isn't it? What's okay, so this is going to be a naive question from me.
Oh, God,
Plan B, isn't that the abortion pill?
Not here.
Is that not an American thing, maybe?
Probably. I don't know.
B.
Never. I don't know.
I feel like I know that.
I feel like it's been on maybe a film or something.
Maybe. Okay. Either way, I had that in my head, and I thought that when I said it at the time.
Maybe it is.
Okay. Maybe we can. Oh, you looking it up?
Oh, I see. Yes, it is. You're correct.
Way.
I don't think it's called that here, but hey ho.
I don't know what it's called over here. To be fair,
it's just. Yeah.
It's called just finish on the leg, isn't it? Gene said no. Okay, fine. But sure. Okay, good. Fine. Sure. It's too warm to do that. I haven't got the energy. Flair and Mr. Perfect are indeed the two most perfect individuals alive today. The Nature... Ooh, I'm getting sassy. The Nature Boy has his closing comments. He wants to make it clear to Randy Savage that the WWF title is coming home with him. Woo! We get a fantastic nighttime shot of Wembley Stadium as Vince McMahon confirms the attendance for the night show. In a rarity, I don't actually think they're exaggerating, at least not by much, although as it goes on they throw another 3,000 on there.
Of course.
In the ring, Howard Finkel sarcastically introduces us to Dr. Harvey Whippleman. The Doctor tells Finkel to take that sarcasm out of his voice when he's introducing him and goes on to call him Little Man, despite the fact he is even smaller. Next time Whippleman says he will knock him out. They had a match at one point, Harvey Whippleman and Howard Finkel. It was a tuxedo match where the winner was the one that didn't get stripped into their panties.
Oh, God.
Yep.
I don't want to see that.
I think it's on Raw.
Oh,
The Good Doctor
okay.
takes the opportunity to introduce us to the next match on the card. Co-main event of the evening.
Yeah, all right.
Kamala with kimchi, very tasty, versus The Undertaker with Paul Bearer, very not tasty.
No.
That's like deep fried fat. That's like, yeah, I mean, Scotland will batter most things, most people as well for that matter. But Paul Bearer is definitely a ball of lard, bless him. But this is the entrance that I was telling you about, Holly.
Yes, it's a good one.
It is a good one. So Harvey Whippleman introduces Kamala, and I'm now just reminded how watered down the Kamala gimmick was in the WWF. Granted, it was necessary to a point for the more family-friendly audience, but the levels to which it was watered down still saddens me. He's supposed to be a cannibal, like a man-eating psychopath who was genuinely terrifying, and here he's like a belly-tapping dumbass, lack of a better term. Although we did see him turn face, didn't we? Was that on the first episode of Raw?
I feel like it was.
Yeah. Oh, we saw a clip of it, and I think from another show, but we didn't actually see that. But as good as, I guess. Next, making his way slowly down the aisle on the back of a hearse is the Undertaker. Holly, this was a special entrance to which I was referring the dead man got on this show. Powerful imagery, and I'll be honest, I'm a big fan. You liked it?
Yeah, I did like it. Actually.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Or as Heenan says, look at that idiot. The steering wheel is on the wrong side. Oh.
Fell flat.
Oh.
I mean, do better.
Well, he has, to be fair, throughout the night. McMahon suggests that Kamala will be leaving this event in the hearse. But the brain suggests he couldn't get him in a body bag. Too big. Kamala is hungry. Yeah, no shit. The bell sounds for the co-main event of the evening to get underway. Whose corner are you in?
It pains me to say it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's so irritating. So irritating.
Undertaker.
But yeah, it does pain me to say it. Undertaker here.
You're a murderer. Sorry.
No.
No? Alright, fine. As the managers of each man exit the ring, Kamala looks to sneak up on The Undertaker, but it doesn't work and he eats a series of uppercuts to the throat. Single-handed choke in the corner, and the dead man stalks the referee when he was told to release the grip. Corner whip is reversed, but Kamala misses on his avalanche and eats another series of throat thrusts. Hello. We get an awkward cut transition to the dead man grabbing Kamala by the arm and going to the top for old school. What was this cut?
Yes.
This was the other cut I was telling you about, where I was like, what?
Yeah, it jumped, didn't it?
Yep, very much so. The impact drops the Ugandan to his knees, and Kimchi jumps up on the apron to try and cause a distraction. As at the start of the match, Kamala is not quick enough to capitalise and takes more shots to the throat. God help us, Undertaker is looking to hit old school again. When he goes to the top, Harvey Whippleman is now on the apron and he shakes the top rope, causing Undertaker to tumble down to the canvas. Surely that is enough for disqualification, as it was right in front of dangerous Danny Davis.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yep, but although, to be fair, anything to end that move, fine.
Yeah, fine.
Fine. Knife edge chop by Kamala and a clothesline sends Undertaker over the top and down to the floor. As expected, the dead man lands on his feet and grabs Kimchi and Whippleman by the throat. Before he can do anything though, Kamala has followed him to the outside and attacks him from behind and continues the onslaught with a series of clubbing blows. Into the steel stairs goes the dead man, and Holly wishes it was a drink, and every time he looks to fire back he is cut off by the cannibal. They return to the ring where Kamala continues to land chops to the chest from the surprisingly rare Ugandan butcher's counter. You don't see many of them out in the wild. I wouldn't know, I've never been to Uganda. Taker ducks a clothesline off a whip and grabs Kamala by the throat to deliver an impressive chokeslam. He continues to clutch him by the throat as he's on the canvas, but decides not to go for a cover. Okay.
Yep.
Flying clothesline connects by The Undertaker, who signals towards the urn for more power. He scoops Kamala onto his shoulder, but before he can deliver a tombstone, Kimchi is in the ring and punches the dead man in the midsection.
Right, okay, this is where it got not a little bit confusing, but it was a bit weird here.
Okay, why?
Because I clearly didn't see properly what happened. Also, didn't really care.
Fine.
But the announcement is so quiet. It's not like it's not loud like all the others that he wins by DQ. It's weirdly quiet.
I've got it, so I must have heard it.
Yeah, I heard it, but I heard it
in hushed
having
tones.
to pay attention.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. The bell sounds, and because obviously we spotted in the last episode that Howard Finkel, I don't know if it was live for all of it or voiced in after the fact, because we saw him clearly not talking at one point when we heard his voice. So maybe that was his actual voice, and the reason why they put it in on others is so you could hear it.
Yeah, maybe.
So maybe that was the difference. The bell sounds and this one is over. Taker grabs Kimchi by the throat and uppercuts him between the ropes out of the ring. Kamala continues the assault with a series of strikes and lands a pair of avalanches in the corner before delivering a big body slam. The voice of Howard Finkel informs us that the winner of this match by way of disqualification is The Undertaker. The assault continues in the ring, and as the Ugandan Giant delivers a running splash... as the Ugandan Giant, he climbs to the second rope and delivers another splash on the motionless dead man. Following Kimchi's instructions, Kamala ascends to the top rope and connects with a splash once more. As Kamala is standing outside the ring, The Undertaker sits bolt upright. Fuck that, big man. I don't have to sell for you. The look of concern on the Ugandan's face is actually priceless, to be fair, as he begins to backpedal his way up the aisle, tripping over himself in the process. Heenan is screaming that The Undertaker is not human and that he has never seen Kamala move this fast. Clearly, the brain has not seen him at catering. Holly, what are your thoughts?
Glad it was over. Didn't really... It's not like I hated it. I just didn't care for it.
It was nothing.
I didn't care for it. I gave it 0.25, and you are bang on in the sense that if we... Obviously, time travel is impossible. But if we were watching an event and this was on, yes, I would be doing a beer run right now.
I gave it the exact same score, 0.25 stars. It's not good. But business is about to pick up, rest assured. The cameras take us back to the locker room where Sean Mooney is standing beside the British Bulldog, which is the first time in the entire show we've actually seen him.
I know.
Mooney says that Davey Boy must be feeling a great deal of pressure going into SummerSlam in front of his home nation. Sean asks the Bulldog what the family pressures are like, given that it is brother-in-law versus brother-in-law. The Bulldog says that it wasn't him that made this match, it was Jack Tunney, but that he has fought hard for too long. Like, it's just, he goes so northern. I know he is northern, but the emphasis on some of the words is like you're a caricature of a person at times. Because also normally you'd expect someone who's been over in North America for so long, you'd lose some of your accent,
wouldn't you?
But no, Bulldog has doubled down, to be fair to him. 2 years, he's been fought too hard for too many years to be the number one contender for the Intercontinental title to be overlooked. Yes, Brett is the Intercontinental champion. Yes, Brett is his brother-in-law. But when the Bulldog steps in the ring, he never met him before. He doesn't know him. All he hopes is that at the end of the match, the families reunite, which is the synergy hand gesture in middle management. But he does this a few times and it's odd. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. As he says this, with his hands, he does the middle management symbol for synergy. There we go. Sean mentions the pressure about stepping in front of 80,000 of his fellow countrymen, but the Bulldog says that is far from pressure. This is a dream for the British Bulldog. That's a good bit of the promo.
Yeah, it is.
Good bit of promo.
Yeah.
Bit before, shit. His second dream, come the end of the match, the British Bulldog will be the Intercontinental Champion. His third dream, more of a wet one, but we won't go into that. Sean hands over now to Mean Gene, who is standing beside Bret the Hitman Hart. Gene says that the challengers faces a different set of pressure to that of the champion. Bret says that as far as family pressure goes, he has proven that he works very well under said pressure. Something that really irks Bret, and he does say irk, is that Davey Boy has the gall to come out and say that when he steps into the ring with a champion, he's never met him. The hitman raises his shade, so you know it's serious, and tells the Bulldog to look him in the eyes. He can't, he's not in the room. And tells him that he has never met him. Does Davey remember back when the hitman introduced him to his now wife, Brett's sister, Diana? The hitman says that if it wasn't for him, the Bulldog wouldn't have even got as far as he has in the Federation. Talk about gratitude.
God.
The Bulldog is the one responsible for all the family tension, as he is the one that wanted to challenge Brett for the Intercontinental title. Bulldog wanted the fight, and now he's got the fight. The dream that the Bulldog has, Brett believes, will quickly turn into a nightmare. We all knew that line was coming.
Obviously.
All knew that line was coming. When Bulldog wakes up, he's going to think that he's in the dungeon of Windsor Castle.
I just can't.
You like that one?
I like it, but not because I like it.
It was shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's oh god.
Just say the dungeon at Hart House.
Dross.
It's not. It's better than Davey's overall
Stop
promo.
talking.
I'd say not by much, but it is better than Davey's.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah. Anyway, so that's that bit done. We now head back to the arena where a troupe of bagpipe players play Rowdy Roddy Piper's entrance theme, aka Scotland the Brave.
This can piss off.
Heenan, I've always hated hard rock. He's won you back.
This upset me so much. This upset me so much, and you know it did, because
Yes.
I messaged you and I was like, why? Just
Yes, you
why?
did.
We're not but they're not in Scotland.
Yep.
So
No,
why?
true. Well, second line, by the way, of this. This is like a bunch of grown men wearing skirts playing vacuum cleaners. I think she likes Heenan now. I really do.
Oh, just why?
Now, as a special surprise, if that wasn't enough, Holly,
No.
here to play alongside the Highlanders is Rowdy Roddy Piper himself, and the fans go absolutely wild.
They must be delirious, because this is painful.
I've put here, I mean, he obviously isn't, but it doesn't look bad, him
It's
doing the
not
bagpipes.
the worst miming I've ever seen, apart from like when it really does a close up of him.
And you know why it didn't look bad?
Go on.
He can play the bagpipes.
Can he?
That was him playing the bagpipes with them.
Really?
That was legitimately him playing.
Okay.
Because I was looking at it going, he's actually doing the identical hand gestures to the
Yeah.
other guys. And to the point where I looked it up, I doubted myself because I was ready to mock him for it.
Yeah.
I doubted myself so much I looked it up, but he actually went to, I think it was in a military barracks.
Oh, okay.
And he played it there and he just got, he liked it. So he actually kind of did a bit of playing of the bagpipes, which is,
bagpiping.
yeah, fair play. That's one way to live the gimmick, to be fair.
I mean, yeah, great, but why? What why is there not something there about London? Like, why have we got Scottish
What, do you want beef eaters walking
pipers?
around?
I don't care. Fish and chips, eating fish and chips, fine.
Oh, no, because you'd have...
food contest.
No, because you'd have the natural disasters. Kamala, King Kong Bundy's not even with the company. He'd come back.
No.
Captain Lou Albano would be there. Gorilla Monsoon. All the big husky lads would come down for some fish and chips. And I don't think I'm ready for something like that.
It just didn't make any sense to me.
Well, after it finishes, the fans obviously clap. Holly is so grateful it's over. And what's that I hear Heenan say on commentary? Don't applaud him. He might play more.
Yeah, agreed.
That's why I say, wow, I just looked it up. And yeah, he did. As Hot Rod shakes the hands of those that he was just playing with, we shift focus to Sean Mooney in the crowd, sitting beside Diana Smith. Diana Smith. Okay. She will feature later on in something that I will be sharing with everyone
Okay.
from her book, so brace yourselves for that. She's a unique character,
She don't half go on, does she?
but in such a way that is so boring, is so uninteresting. Let's be fair. So I was very young, obviously, when this show took place.
Okay.
My memories of it are from probably a year or so after the fact, rewatching it rather than at the time, because I was obviously too young to retain the information. And I would have been, as an adult, really invested in this match for many reasons. Wembley, Bulldog, love Bret Hart. He was my favourite wrestler at this time. At this point, he'd eclipsed Warrior for me as my favourite. And she is so unenthused in the way that she talks that I would care less and less and less about it the more she goes on.
It really does pull it down.
To the point where Sean cuts her off, and I'm so grateful.
It was quite funny.
Yes, because she just wasn't going to stop.
She really wasn't.
And I think from reading various books in wrestling, whether it be Bret Hart's, whether it be sections of Diana's and other people within the community, there's a sense that Diana, while she isn't overtly looking for spotlight, when it's on her, will do what she can to keep it there for as long as possible.
Okay.
Because she doesn't do it like it. She doesn't look like she's like, oh, I'm.
She's not a look at me person.
Exactly.
But it's also kind of like a.
But she wants to be in that position.
Yeah.
But she's so unnatural. Yeah. And she's like a. It's
a
deer in the headlights.
It's a fun sponge to me.
Yes.
Because it really, I was like, I know what's coming. Actually looking forward to this, and I understand there's a story, but also there's like underlying stories.
Yep.
But also this made me not really interested in hearing what she had to say.
Show her at ring. Okay, here's a great example. We know that Liz is not the best on the microphone.
Yes.
So what do they do at WrestleMania 7? Sit her in the crowd like this? Put the camera on her occasionally.
Yes.
Which is what they do end up doing.
Yes.
Cut this first bit out.
Yes, agreed.
But I think because they'd obviously done it, I think they'd maybe taken a chance, because I don't know on WWF TV up to this point if Diana had done anything in terms of talking in front of a camera, and they just took a punt that, well, she can't be that bad. Mm-hmm. And then they did it and they went, oh my God, we're not making that mistake again. Because I think if they had the opportunity, knowing what she was like, I don't think they would have let that happen. No. I think they would have done exactly what they did with Liz in the crowd.
And that worked.
It did work.
Well.
And it would have worked here,
yes,
I think, just as well, because let's be fair, Diana does legitimate crying, whether it's forced crying or whatever, looks real.
It does look real.
Liz didn't have that.
No. And I mean, even if you're going to talk to her for maximum 30 seconds, so she can just say, I'm torn between this person and this person. It's going to be really hard to watch.
Do you know what's bad? I don't think it's much longer than 30 seconds.
It felt like about an hour.
Yes, exactly. So Sean says that Diana is sat in the middle of all of this and she must feel extremely conflicted. Diana admits that she is torn and she acknowledges that both Davey and Brett are fiercely competitive. Diana says that this will be their biggest match in both of their lives. And as the mic goes away,
She's not done, is she?
And she regrets if she's been an obstacle for either man when it comes to this match. She's far from a natural on the microphone, safe to say.
Yes.
A pretty lady, though. I get that. Very
sure.
Naturally pretty lady as well.
Yes, very.
Diana says that this will be... no, we've done that. Sean cuts her off and says it must be very difficult, clearly, but who does she believe will emerge victorious? Diana says, to be quite frank, don't know who he is, she isn't concerned about who wins. She loves them both. This little bit was okay, actually. The bond and then she carried on. The bond they share is greater than any match and more valuable to her than anything. She begins to ramble again, as she says that she's been given a great honour tonight in going into battle on the front line with her husband, which makes absolutely no sense. You're not in the fucking match.
I'm so confused.
You're going into battle as much as you are with your brother, as you are your husband, because you are sat there doing fuck all.
This is the whole point.
Does that mean that every time me and you watch Royal Rumble, we have gone into battle together in the Royal Rumble because we're watching it?
Well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe that's where we're going wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I might win it at some point. I don't know. I think Jacob Fatu can have the next one.
Okay.
I'll take the one after that, okay?
Oh, okay. Is that an early guesstimation?
Oh, it's not a spoiler. Oh, it is a spoiler. Oh, fucked it up. Sorry, Paul Heyman. I cannot do it as good as you. Shocker. I know, right? What was it in the middle? Do. Where are we? Oh, yeah, he's wrestled the microphone out of her prying grasp. And, so Diana continues to talk, and Sean literally has to pull the microphone away from her as we hear the voice of Howard Finkel in the background cut her off, ready to announce the main event. She would be talking there now.
Yes.
Which I think is wise. When they put the Bulldog in the Hall of Fame at WWE, they let his son do the talking on the stage.
Did they?
She was there with him.
Oh, okay.
And I think the daughter was as well.
Oh, right.
I can't remember. Is it Georgia, something like that? But I'm pretty sure all three of them are up there, but Harry Smith was the one talking.
Okay.
You remember him, don't you? Tyson Kidd's tag team partner?
Yes,
I do.
Yeah. Yes.
God, he looks so much like his dad in the face. It's weird. Really weird. That I remember that was unsettling for me for quite a while. Because the Bulldog death hit me pretty hard, actually, back then. Yep. Holly.
Hello.
Main event of the evening.
Is it time?
It's main event time.
Yay.
Bret the Hitman Hart versus the British Bulldog for the WWF Intercontinental title. Before we go into the match...
Yes.
The WWF championship match has obviously already taken place.
Yeah.
With everything being factored in, do you agree with this match going on last?
Yes.
Why?
It just is a bigger...
'Cause it's a lesser title.
I know, but it's a bigger... I don't know. Well, I suppose obviously Davey Boy is from here, so makes sense. And there is a lot of hype around these two. It's a bigger event.
Yeah?
I don't really know
It's
how
hard
else
one
to explain it, apart from I just agree with it going here. It works.
I'll be honest with you. It's one that's kind of hard to articulate, and I was kind of interested in how you would have a go at it, if I'm being
Badly.
perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I don't think you did badly. Yeah, I think when you sum up all the parts there, it eclipses
For sure.
the stakes of the world title match. And also, based on how the WWF title match finished, you don't really want to end the show on that.
No, absolutely.
Whereas the ending for this,
Great.
perfecto.
Yeah.
Perfecto.
Nice.
So making his way down to the ring first, the challenger, yes. Led by Lennox Lewis waving the Union Jack, the British Bulldog. Holly, give me your thoughts on this.
Brilliant.
Yeah? Everything.
Absolutely. Probably one of the best entrances I've seen.
Yeah?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me. It was great.
Well, in any show?
Yep.
Wow.
Not the best, but one of, for sure.
Okay, what would you say? Okay.
No, I know you're going to ask me that. You have to prepare me with those questions.
Well, I didn't know you were going to say that. That's the thing.
But no, it gave.
Yeah?
It really did give. Like, if I was there, I'd be freaking loving it.
Yep, fair enough. I'll ask you in a second. But
Okay.
So Heenan asks if that is Joe Louis. Not Lewis. Lewis, not Louis. I've gone back to Louis from our previous episodes. Heenan asks if that is Joe Louis waving the flag, but Vince is quick to correct him. And it's Lennox Lewis. Is that a racism? I don't know if that is a racism from Heenan there. I think he just thought boxer, I know that, oldie worldy, shouldn't be alive. Probably wasn't at that point, to be fair. Now making his way down to the ring, the defending champion, Bret the Hitman Hart. A good reception for the champion, but it was nothing compared to that the challenger received moments before. Again, they do it in the right order, but could they have flipped it?
Yeah, they could have.
Yeah?
I really think they could have.
More so than the Warrior Savage?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, home crowd.
But I can't
I
begrudge
get
them
it.
doing it the right
Oh,
way
no.
either.
Yeah, it's fine, but...
But yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you. Bret removes the title and plants a big kiss on it before he hands it over to Joey Morella. Vince asks if he might be kissing that championship goodbye. You've seen the booking sheet, mate. Don't fucking put that out there. Alright? Holly, whose side are you on?
Davey Boy, without a doubt.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I like Bret Hart, I really do, but there are other people, like when he's against them, I'm not always going to go.
Yeah.
Bret Hart, I'm big Davey Boy fan, so yeah.
Well, speaking of that, if you lean forward actually and tilt your head left there, it's right in the corner, so you probably won't see it from that angle.
I will look
Have a look at the end.
otherwise.
It's Davey Boy in that exact attire, I think.
Okay.
I think it's the exact gear, including with the flag behind him attached to his wrist.
Okay.
I'm not sure where Bret is. I know, Bret's back there, but it's not a good one of Bret, if I'm honest. I need to sort that out at some point. The Hitman removes his shades, kisses it away. The Hitman removes his shades and heads outside the ring to place them on a lucky fan in the front row. Why was it never me?
Were you ever there?
Nope.
Oh.
Not the point. We hear a sea of air horns go off in the crowd, and normally I hate it, but in this instance I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
It was like the kind of proper football FA Cup final feel.
Yes, I agree.
In the classic Wembley Stadium, rooting for Davey Boy.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I agree.
Loved it. The two men circle before going chest to chest. Bret slowly pushes the Bulldog away, but is instantly met with a more forceful shove by the challenger. They lock up, but Davey is too strong and shoves the champion off towards the buckles. They lock up once again, and the Bulldog applies a side headlock. Push off, drop down, and leapfrog by Bret, who is met with a shoulder tackle that sends him tumbling between the ropes and down to the blue mats below. Great tumble, that. Really good tumble.
Very good.
Smooth, is how I describe it. Buttery, yeah. The champ is slow in returning back to the ring, but when he does, they lock up for a third time. Side headlock takedown by the Hitman, but Bulldog escapes with a head scissors. Second side headlock takedown by Bret, and this time he prevents his head scissors escape. They return to their feet where Bulldog pushes off, but his press slam attempt is blocked and the Hitman secures an O'Connor roll that gets him a count of 2. Wait for Hoddy to cheer. Small package by the champ.
Yay.
Also gets a near fall before he once again gets a side headlock takedown. Davey Boy does well to slip out the back and transition into a hammerlock. He drives the knees into the arm of the Hitman, who manages to escape on his feet with an elbow to the face. Wrist lock by Brett, and he yanks away on the appendage. Forward roll, backward roll, headstand escape by the Bulldog, who applies an arm lock of his own, driving the champion down into the canvas. A concerned look on the face of Diana in the crowd, and this is how they should have used her.
Yeah.
Back on their feet, Brett pushes free, and although is successful with his drop down, he is caught on a leapfrog attempt and catapulted into the turnbuckles. Very nice. Armlock reapplied by the challenger. Armlock power lift by Davey Boy, and the champ finds himself back on the canvas. The crowd continue to be raucous and is giving this main event a fantastic atmosphere. Really, really good. To be fair, the WWF title match also very good.
Yes.
Legion of Doom match pretty good.
Yeah.
This is something else. They return to their feet where Brett misses with a punch, allowing the Bulldog to secure a crucifix pin that gets him a near fall. Slick counter by Davey Boy, and he takes the champion down to the canvas in an armlock once again. The Hitman attempts to free himself with a body slam, but the Bulldog holds on. With a hand on his challenger's chin, Brett pushes him to the ropes and gets free, dropping down and delivering a big kitchen sink that flips the Bulldog over. Stamp to the midsection and a leg drop connects. Reverse chinlock applied. Bulldog elbows free but charges directly into a back elbow that puts him down on the canvas. Forearm drop to the face as Brett continues to take over. Inverted atomic drop, which McMahon once again calls a reverse pile drive. Bulldog tries to counter with a crucifix pin as he did earlier, but this time he is caught and driven into the canvas with a modified Samoan drop. Delayed cover only gets 2. Reverse chin lock reapplied. The way that Brett leaves his mouth hanging open makes him look like the most tired man in the history of the world. It's really good. I don't know why. It's
like relax. He just relaxes like the lower jaw.
It really does. Yeah. Push off by the Bulldog, and he is dropped to the canvas with a shoulder tackle. Drop down and leapfrog by the Brit, who then monkey flips the charging champion across the ring. Headbutt by the challenger, and the Hitman is sent hard into the buckles on 2 occasions, but does get his boot up on the charge that follows. Running Bulldog connects, and now the Hitman heads to the top rope. Before he can take flight, he is caught and press slammed down to the canvas. Now the Bulldog heads to the top, but misses the mark spectacularly on a diving headbutt attempt. The champ drives Davey face first into the canvas, but his body slam is countered. Brett ducks as the 2 men charge towards the ropes, and the Bulldog flies between the ropes and down to the mats below. A more partisan reception for the champion now as he outstretches his arms to the fans in the traditional Bret Hart way. Yeah,
a little bit. Also, at that point, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Are we turning heel properly?
Ooh.
Yeah, I think he's just leaning into it. And he pretty much says as much himself. McMahon says that those in attendance are getting caught up in the pageantry and have no choice but to cheer for their fellow countrymen. The Hitman... What?
Oh, go on.
Okay, I know what I've gone for. The Hitman slings himself over the top rope and awkwardly comes crashing down on the Bulldog, who he grabs by the neck and slings over his own body as he lands. That looked awkward.
Yes.
Uncomfortable. Back first into the ring post goes
Yay.
Bulldog.
Drink.
I forgot that happened actually. And the champ drops him to the mats with a third. They return to the ring and Brett whips his challenger hard into the buckles before striking him in the lower back. Because he's British, that makes him a quitter. Did you know that, Heenan? Okay. Headbutt from the Hitman, and he follows up with a side Russian leg sweep that gets him a near fall. European uppercut from the champion, and after a stiff forearm, he delivers a dropkick to the chops. Big back body drop sends Davey to the lights, where he lands awkwardly. It's like I'm calling him for his dinner, but manages to kick out at 2. Reverse chinlock applied once more. Lovely snap suplex by the Hitman gets a 2 count, and he returns to the reverse chinlock that has kept the Bulldog. And he returns to the chinlock that keeps the Bulldog at bay. British Bulldog has been top dog here for a while. McMahon, thank you. Bow wow. Yeah, I can see the fleas jumping off of him from here, Heenan. Hey, it's a good show for Heenan.
Oh, God.
European uppercut is countered into a backslide pin that nearly steals a win for the challenger. Elbow drop to the back of the neck puts the Bulldog back down. Backbreaker connects once again, punishing the lower back of Davey Boy. Second rope forearm drop to the back earns the champion another near fall. With a handful of dreads, Brett lands a big right hand, and now he yanks the challenger off the canvas by his hair again. The fans begin to boo the champion, who looks around at the audience that usually cheer him so loudly. Snapmare takedown, and we see a return of the reverse chinlock. And I thought, we might be starting to lose Holly if this carries on. Mm-hmm. Back on their feet, and Brett delivers a pair of right hands, ducking when Bulldog retaliates and slapping on a sleeper hold. The older brother of the chinlock, if you ask me.
Oh.
Davey Boy looks to be fading as he drops to all fours, but he crawls his way to the ring ropes. What?
Right. My notes say, Davey in doggy gets the ropes. That's all that means is he's crawling to the ropes.
Yep. Well, I guess there's no dick giddy up for you to call in this one, is there?
No, there wasn't. There was some running squishes before. But
Yeah, running squishies.
It was all very average
It
writing
was.
for me today.
The Hitman only releases after the referee reaches a count of 4 at the second time of asking, and quickly lands a few boots to the face. Whip sends Davey Boy to the ropes, and when he returns, he is quickly locked back in the sleeper hold in the middle of the ring.
It's starting.
We continue to get inserted camera shots of a Diana Smith who is visibly trying to make herself tear up. This time, the Bulldog is fading. That puppy is out. Heenan. Holly, can you do the honours?
He's asleep. No, he isn't.
Bring me another round of tea and crumpets. I've got more fight left in me. Heenan.
I did like that. That's very good.
Bulldog runs Brett into the buckles, but the hold remains in place. He looks to fade again, but picks the champion up onto his back, and at the second time of running him into the buckles, does manage to free himself from the grip. The two men exchange right hands, but the Hitman's whip is reversed, and he's pressed into the air and dropped awkwardly crotch first on the middle rope. Brutal dick guillotine.
Yay.
Looks like Diana can't... Sorry, this is good. Heenan. Looks like Diana Hart has a new sister.
Oh.
Really like that one. Because it made me laugh legitimately again there seeing it. Into the buckles goes Brett, and he's levelled with a pair of clotheslines, make it 3, and the Bulldog gets a count of 2. Big press slam by the challenger, who makes another cover, but is still not enough for 3. Fantastic delayed suplex by Davey Boy, and he drapes his arm over in the cover for a 1, 2, no. Sternum first into the buckles goes the Hitman, and we get another count of 2. Bulldog signals to the fans, but is wasting valuable time as the brain correctly calls out on commentary. He pulls the Hitman to his feet by his lycra and delivers with a running power slam for the 1, 2, no. The Bulldog shakes his head in disbelief. A punch-drunk champion is pie-faced between the ropes and down to the apron. Suplex back into the ring, but Brett lands on his feet and delivers a wonderful bridging German suplex, which I wasn't expecting,
No.
that gets the 1, 2, no. Fantastic stuff. The Hitman attempts but fails on a suplex, instead getting lifted himself to the top buckle. David Boy joins him up there and delivers a great superplex. He drapes his arm into a cover, but still it is not enough to get the job done. Whip reversal, but Brett misses a wild clothesline. When the Bulldog returns, they both have the same idea in mind and level each other, leaving both down on the canvas. From his back, the Hitman laces the legs and rolls over, applying the sharpshooter with an assist from a handful of tights. The crowd are still screaming at the top of their lungs as the Bulldog struggles and eventually makes it to the sanctuary of the bottom rope. An emotional Diana is standing on her feet, clasping her hands, watching her husband and brother compete for the title. Whip reversal sees the Hitman attempt a sunset flip, but the Bulldog secures the leg and falls forward in a pin of his own for the 1, 2, 3. The winner of this match and new Intercontinental Champion, the British Bulldog. You happy, Holly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A crying Diana is seen making her way through the crowd as her husband is declared the new Intercontinental Champion. In front of 80,000 strong, Bulldog looks down in disbelief at the championship gold as the moment begins to sink in. The beaten former champion is sat in the ring with his head bowed, realising he is no longer the kingpin. David Boy extends his hand, but the Hitman looks to exit the ring as the fans let him know how they feel. Brett returns and does indeed shake the hand of his brother-in-law before giving him a big hug as the British Bulldog's music now begins to play. Diana is in the ring and gives both men a big hug as well. Brett raises Diana and Davey's arms, but his sister does the right thing and chooses to stand between both so she can raise their arms instead. Nice. All three take part in a final big group hug as the in-ring pyro starts to flare. Fireworks begin to erupt above the ring as Lennox Lewis re-enters the ring to wave the Union Jack, and the show comes to a close.
Yes.
Holly, give me your thoughts on this one.
I enjoyed that. It was good. Good little match. When I actually think about it, like, not logistically, but what I really liked about it, it's weird. There's so many different things, but also it's the theatrics of it.
Yep.
That really played like a big part in it.
Agreed.
5 out of 5. 5-star.
Yeah?
Really got me, this one.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
When you say got you, are you talking about
I was
the...
actually interested.
Oh, I thought you meant you were going to say I was actually in tears or something
no.
there.
No, I'm
No.
made of stone, let's be clear.
Yeah, of course.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But like, and I'm not saying I'm not interested in other things we watch. Like, I'll obviously watch them, enjoy them, not enjoy them.
Well, we've had other 5-star matches from you.
But this one, really enjoyed it. Like, I would watch it again without obviously taking notes and still enjoy it at the same level.
Agreed.
So it goes into the 5-star rating for me.
Might be one of the first ones we've agreed on as a 5-star rating.
Really?
5 stars.
Oh,
Phenomenal
okay.
match.
Yeah.
Phenomenal match. Paced well. Even the bits that were a bit repetitive, I thought they actually nipped it in the bud at the right moments.
Yes.
The sleeper hold where he actually fades, it's a good breather because everything else is kind of, especially when you think about all the other matches around this era, certainly in the WWF, you don't get many that are like rapid fire on this happens, this happens, this happens, and it's all different as well. Yeah. Really well put together. Really, really well put together. And I guess now is as good an opportunity as any to pass it over to Bret the Hitman Hart himself to give us his thoughts on the match.
One being about the SummerSlam 92, which is such a pivotal and important time in my career. It really was such a turning point for me. I think the SummerSlam 92 was a match where I actually proved without any doubt that I was the best there is, the best there was, and the best ever will be. I think I really made people appreciate the wrestling and not the characters. And I think the storyline itself was just a very good storyline in the sense that I think it's fair for me to say, and I've said it many times, that I think I was more popular than the British Bulldog in England at the time. I was at the peak of my fame, and it really kicked off in England and in Germany. But I was huge over there, and I think a little bit bigger than Davey Boy was. And I think that all worked out to my advantage. I think losing the title to Davey did everything I thought it would do for me. It would sort of give me a sympathetic reaction and sort of actually launch me up higher than I've ever been to the world title, which is what came shortly after. But I think all that decision process was tied around the fact that I had the match at Wembley, and I will say this much about the match at Wembley, that it's my match from beginning to end. I mean, Davey could barely remember his name that day, and had a lot of trouble remembering any of the match. I had one of the few matches where I had to really talk to him all the way through the match to get him to perform. But I will say this, Davey did perform, and he did come through, which is a testimony to him.
So there you have it, Holly. The words of Mr. Hitman himself. That was a bit of audio that we've actually had for a while up our sleeve, well over a year, I think, in fact, and we've used part of it on the WrestleMania journey with him and Stone Cold, and obviously we had to ask about this match at Wembley Stadium because it was just phenomenal. He touched upon a couple of things there which you might find contentious, because he says that he thought he was a bigger star in the UK at the time than Davey Boy.
Yeah.
I understand why he said that to a point, because he was more consistent in terms of the way he was being showcased by the company. With Davey Boy, it was more fits and starts. So he was there early doors, like WrestleMania 2. He won the tag team titles, if you remember, with Ozzy Osbourne was there as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then he was gone.
Yeah.
And then he came back as a single star, but then he would go suspended because of drugs. And he was just coming back from a drug suspension coming into this. I think he'd only been back on the road for about 5 or 6 weeks prior to this event from a drug suspension. So Bret's probably looking at it from that perspective. And he's not wrong in saying that Bret's biggest support is obviously Canada, and his next two are UK and Germany.
Okay.
He's right there. He was always massive over there, even when he was a heel. So you know when they were doing the Heart Foundation versus Stone Cold.
Yeah.
In the UK, Austin would be getting booed, and Brett would be getting cheered, much like it was at Canada. It was in America specifically where he was the heel. So I understand where he's coming from, and he's right. It did propel him because he later this year he won the title from Ric Flair.
I mean, it's always interesting hearing their perspective, regardless of whether it is fully the truth, whether it's not. It's always interesting to hear what someone that was there and in it thinks.
Yeah, I still remember getting this audio being so giddy because, like I said, it was one of my childhood favourites, and I was just like, he was talking to us. He says our name.
He does.
He says our name at the beginning. But I think, again, another thing that he touched upon, which I've actually got a following story for, which I will read for you shortly, is taken straight from his autobiography, which is a fantastic read. If anyone hasn't read it out there, I'd strongly recommend it. One of my favourite wrestling books, where he talks about Davey's condition going into the match, and I think it's worth a listen. Rumour had it that Vince had big plans for SummerSlam 1992. J.J. Dillon, Vince's talent coordinator, whose job was basically doing Vince's dirty work when it came to fining, firing, and delivering other bad news, let slip that the pay-per-view was possibly going to be in either Washington DC or London, England. I went to see Vince. If he still wanted me to drop the belt to Shawn Michaels, I had an idea for that match that I wouldn't even tell him until he promised me that he'd never use it for anyone else. Vince agreed. So I told him about the concept of a ladder match. The more I told him, the more he liked it. Also, if SummerSlam 1992 was held in England, I suggested why didn't I drop the IC belt to Davey there, and Davey could, in turn, drop it to Shawn shortly thereafter. The pop in the UK would be huge because Davey was a homeboy. Vince told me he liked both ideas. At the next TVs, he asked me to show him a ladder match. I could do it with Shawn, I said. I rang Davey as soon as I left Vince's office to tell him, but he was so down about his 6-week suspension for testing positive for steroids that he showed little enthusiasm. Even though it's 3 months away, the match with Davey soon became almost all I thought about, piecing it together, move by move, in my head. I'd kept an old but terrific finish of Leo Burke's tucked away in my head for just the right moment, and this would be it. By the time I got to TVs in Hamilton on June the 1st, it was official. SummerSlam 1992 would be at Wembley Stadium. Davey was back on the road, and Vince was going ahead with my idea to drop the IC belt to him. As the summer slipped away and as SummerSlam 1992 approached quickly, I spent my time training and working on another big cartoon drawing of all the wrestlers, this time for Vince. I couldn't help but feel indebted to him. I constantly phoned Davey down in Florida, but all Diana could tell me was that he was out with Jim somewhere. I finally tracked Jim down just hours before I was leaving for England and was shocked when he told me that he'd just taken Davey and Diana to the airport. Davey was high as a kite when he caught his flight, Jim said, because he'd been up all night smoking crack with him. Jim told me that Davey had a gorilla on his back and he was worried about him. I wish Jim would take a good look at himself. I couldn't have been more disappointed in Davey and feared he'd end up making us both look bad. I remembered Vince asking me back in Binghamton if I was sure I could go on last in the main event. I can promise you nobody will be able to follow us, I'd said. And when I asked Vince whether he wanted me to run the finish past him, he told me, I don't want to know. Surprise me. I'd never ever heard him say that to anyone else before or after, but now I truly had no idea what surprises the match was likely to have in store. When I arrived in London, hundreds of fans poured out of the hotel lobby to chant my name in the streets. I set out to find Davey, but he was off somewhere with Diana and his family. I didn't see him until the required entrance rehearsal at Wembley Stadium the night before the show. When I asked him why he hadn't returned my calls all summer, he wasn't able to look me in the eye. He fessed up that he'd been smoking crack with Jim for weeks and was now terrified. He'd gone back to being that same helpless kid I'd rescued from Dynamite 10 years earlier. Trust me, Davey, and I'll do all I can to get you through tomorrow, okay? He nodded, and I sat him down for a crash course, going over and over our match and making him recite the moves back to me. It was now completely up to me to save our match. The following day we arrived at Wembley early. The sun hid high in an overcast sky, but there was a collective sigh of relief because it looked like it wasn't going to rain. Once the show started, I worried and waited, fearing that the other wrestlers would run too long, leaving me and Davey with not enough time to tell our story. If we ran out of time, it would be my tough luck, since if Davey beat me in a short match, it could ruin me in England. One positive note was that the referee was Gorilla's boy, Joey Morella, who, in my opinion, was the best WWF ref. I knew he'd do his best to help me communicate with Davey once we got out there. The sky was a beautiful purple on the day of SummerSlam 1992, blue by the time our match was called. Davey went out before me to a huge ovation. I was banking on my sense that the British fans truly loved me, but would feel they had to support their fellow countrymen. To all the fans watching via satellite, I'd be a huge underdog. Today, I'd break all their hearts and win their undying loyalty. I was betting my career on it. The aisle was so long that my usual entrance music played twice as I made my way to the ring, the picture of confidence in my leather ring jacket. English football horns trumpeted through the crowd of all ages while Union Jacks fluttered in the soft breeze. I was eased by the sight of numerous pink and black signs, and I had the distant sense that God was with me as I silently vowed to show Vince, Davey, and the world how good I was. As I stood nose to nose with Davey, he appeared to be every bit as determined, both of us unflinching warriors refusing to give way before battle. While a thunderous bulldog chant reverberated through the stadium, I unbuckled the belt, held it up to my lips and kissed it. I handed it to Joey, who held it up to the crowd while I dropped out to the floor to give my sunglasses away. To our mutual surprise, I was able to place them on the little boy I'd promised them to earlier. His dad smiled, impressed that I was a man of my word. Back in the ring, Joey gave Davey and me the rules, the three of us momentarily awestruck by the size of the crowd. We pushed off with Davey looking strong and serious. The crowd was ours, and the bell sounded. At first, Davey outmanoeuvred me with simple and realistic wrestling, but after only a few minutes, he was breathing hard. "Brett, I'm fucked," Davey panted, as I had him clamped in a side headlock. "I can't remember anything." "Davey, just listen to me. I'll carry you." Joey shot me a worried look. This would be the test of my career. So that's how it was. Me calling out every single high spot for Davey, sometimes even the necessary facial expressions, helping him conserve what little stamina he had for a comeback that was still more than 30 minutes away. Every time Davey picked me up, I went up like a feather. He went up for me like a full refrigerator. After 37 grueling minutes, I lay on the mat feigning being heartbroken, but in fact I was elated. I was also exhausted and in considerable pain, but I knew that the handshake at the end would top it all off, the last detail in this drama. I made out that I was too pissed off to shake Davey's hand. I planned all of this with Davey, but it became painfully obvious to me that he'd forgotten all about it. I desperately tried to make eye contact, but he was oblivious as Diana climbed into the ring crying, I can only assume for real. I'm thinking, come on Davey, look at me, and we'll make them all cry. But Davey never caught on. Instead, he was trying to milk the crowd. I was thinking, the drama is with me, not them, for fuck's sake, please look at me, Davey. After too many attempts, I gave up, and just walked over and shook his hand. He'd completely missed one of the tiny moments that can make it all more real. But what could I do? The torch had been passed. Everything hurt. Even my fingers were sore. When I got back to the dressing room, most of the boys had already left on the bus, but the ones who'd seen the match seemed blown away. I understood the art of losing and the power of sympathy. I knew that in the weeks to come, it would be me who was over more than Warrior, Savage, Flair, even Davey. All of them had been excellently executed. So, without having heard that, would you have had any idea that Bulldog was completely being held through this match from start to finish?
No.
Which is good.
Yes.
So, and to be fair to Brett, as he said in his cameo bit earlier that
Yeah.
Davey did still perform at the end of the day, although it made it difficult at every step of the way for him. But what were your thoughts?
Obviously I've not read this book.
Yep.
I mean, I would. I'm not saying I wouldn't. But so it's interesting to hear it, the extract. And for the most part, it is just interesting. And it's like, oh, okay, like I didn't know that, or I wouldn't have realised that. But there is if I had a pie chart, there would be like a little slice where it just sounds a bit, woe is me.
I get that. And I think that the people that would be readily criticising Bret Hart was he takes stuff too seriously. He takes everything to heart, like it's a slight against him. There's a famous backstage incident which, as far as I understand it, Bret was kicking off about something in the manner in which he had to lose. I think it was to do with when he was going to WCW, and the talk was that they did want him to lose to Shawn ahead of time, and Bret was kicking off saying, no, I don't want to do it on this term, I want to do this. And Undertaker said, motherfucker, this isn't about you, like, to him, and to kind of try and be the reality check in the room. And it's interesting because a lot of the detractors, like the Clique, obviously Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, etc., would all say the same about Bret. They'd say he's a mark, so he's his own biggest fan. And I get it, it's a book about him. He's going to talk about himself.
Of course.
And it's only when I take something in isolation like that and you go, oh yeah, no, I can completely hear that. I would say that Bret rightfully has a lot to feel aggrieved about, to be honest, just from everything that's happened to him through wrestling and the tragedies. My God. Of course, I mean, it's not Von Erich level, don't get me wrong, but it's still not great.
Oh no, I'm sure if I read the book as a whole, I would. I'm sure that slice would be there from start to finish, but I'm not saying it would be a big slice. I'm sure it would just be a little slither, that there's just an undertone of.
There's a lot of resentment.
How I would read it.
Yeah,
it's just a personal how I would take that on board.
But there's a lot of resentment. There is a lot of resentment there, and some justifiably so. Others you're like, kind of move on, because it's only affecting you at this point.
Yeah.
And I get it, because I can be quite a resentful person myself in some things, but you do have to get to the point ultimately where you can't let that define you.
Yeah.
And I think he's done a lot to kind of change that, but there's that undercurrent there. So I completely get where you're coming from, and there's a lot of the same stuff that the detractors would say about him in general.
It's interesting to know that Jim was quite so heavily involved.
Oh yeah, Jim Neidhart was a wrong-un. Like, when I say wrong-un, I don't mean that in the traditional British sense, but he was very encourageable, I think is the way to put it.
So I only know mostly, obviously we know I watch trash TV, but I only know mostly about him and his troubles through obviously the Total Divas TV show, because it actually was quite good at showing that he was not okay and of sound mind, and because of everything he had done. But I didn't realise quite maybe how willing he had been to be involved in other people doing so much too. Yeah,
absolutely. He was kind of someone, he didn't want to do it by himself either. So he found, and from all accounts, Davey was a bit of a soft touch on that. So it didn't take much for him to go, come on, Davey, come and do this. Like, oh, okay, I'll come along and do it. So, it's a dangerous combination, shall we say. And sticking on the theme of book extracts, I've actually got something which, I don't know, it might colour your perception of British Bulldog, and I didn't want to play it to you before the match because I thought it might taint your overall perspective. It might not, but I would understand why. So we're going to go to Diana Hart's book now. Again, haven't read the whole thing myself, but I've certainly read this chapter obviously because I'm about to read it again. But it's interesting. I'll leave it as that and let you guys draw your own conclusions on it. I'm so dumb I didn't even know it was abuse. There I was in Florida, surrounded by crackhead wrestlers with my husband, Davey Smith, aka the British Bulldog, doping my juice nightly so he could rape me while I was unconscious. I never should have married him, but even when he came to me 3 weeks before our wedding and told me he had just got another girl pregnant, I went ahead with it. If only I hadn't been so stupid and stubborn, I wouldn't have ended up getting suplexed by him, a 280-pound drug addict, in front of our children on the lawn of my parents' home, and I wouldn't have had to endure the pain of watching him run off with my sister-in-law and her 5 kids. But then I come from a long line of anything but normal. How many kids can count Andre the Giant as one of their babysitters? I've known wrestlers all my life because I'm Stu Hart's daughter. My dad is a wrestling legend. First an amateur champion, then a pro, then a promoter of Stampede Wrestling, an operation in Western Canada that trained the likes of my brothers Owen and Bret the Hitman Hart, my ex-husband Davey Boy Smith, my brother-in-law Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Tom Dynamite Kid Billington, as well as Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho, two of the biggest stars in the WWF. For me, things really started to take a downward spiral around the Survivor Series in 1997. That was the pay-per-view where Bret felt that he got the screw from Vince McMahon. Bret defended his World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship title against Shawn Michaels, and Shawn won within 3 seconds of putting Bret in a submission hold, the sharpshooter. The referee Earl Hebner ruled that Bret had submitted and gave the decision to Shawn, who walked off with the belt. 2 weeks before that, Davey and I were getting ready for a Halloween party. I was dressing up as Davey in his Union Jack tights, spandex shirt, boots and cape. I added a 5 o'clock shadow on my chin with eyeliner and pinned back my hair. Davey donned a flared spandex skirt and loose top. He couldn't fit into any stockings, but he wore some flip-flops on his feet. I was almost falling over laughing at the sight of him with one of my mum's blonde wigs jammed on top of his head. We were both in hysterics, and had trouble holding it still as I tried to add mascara, rouge and frosted pink gloss. It was the first time we had had fun in weeks. He had been acting so strangely lately. As usual, he was on the road with the WWF 4 days of the week, but instead of being his normal, active self at home, he was secretive and withdrawn. The party was starting at 9, and he had crawled into bed just after dinner. At first I was annoyed, but when I inspected him closer, I noticed he was sweating and shivering at the same time. "What's the matter?" I asked, concerned. "I'm okay. Get out of the house. Go to the party." "I'm not going without you," I protested. "You're sick." His teeth were chattering. "I'll be all right. Just leave me alone for a couple of hours." I absolutely refused to budge. After half an hour of his trying to get rid of me, he finally broke down. "This is the longest I've gone without taking anything, and I'm jonesing," he began crying. "I don't think I can quit, Di." I presumed he was talking about Percocet, a painkiller he'd been taking since 1985 for back pain, or the steroids he used for bodybuilding. "We'll take your back medication, Davey," I said. "You need that for back pain." Of course I didn't realise he was taking 30 Percocet a day, a huge amount. I also didn't know he was addicted to morphine, Xanax, a tranquilizer, Toradol, an anti-inflammatory, the opiate painkillers Vicodin, the drug of choice for many Hollywood addicts, and Talwin, and pain relievers, Soma, and Dilaudid. He was a walking pharmacy. Trying to be Florence Nightingale, I grabbed 2 Percocets from his bag and handed them to him. He gulped them down gratefully and continued confessing. "I'm really scared about how much stuff I'm taking. I want to quit. I have to quit." I looked into his bag. It was full of different coloured pills, all shapes and sizes. I'd seen them before, but it never dawned on me he was a drug addict. The bottles were always full. I assumed they were steroids and medicines he had just in case he got hurt wrestling. A light bulb exploded in my brain. I reacted immediately. "Oh my God, Davey. Are you taking all this stuff? How often?" He hung his head. "Some of it I take every day. Some I don't take too much." I flung my arms around him as if to protect him. "Don't worry. We'll do this together. I'll take these pills and dole them out for you, but only when you really need them. We'll get you better. We're a team, Davey." He got up and we left for the party. Problem solved. A year later we were separated. We hadn't had sex since June of 1998, when during a trip to England I caught him shooting up Nubane, or Nalbafine, an opiate similar to morphine used for pain in sickle cell leukemia. I knew what it was because a friend of ours named Rich Minzer, who worked for Gold's Gym in Los Angeles, had tried to forewarn me. He took me aside while Davey was working out and locked eyes with me. There's a really bad drug called Nubane going around. A lot of the wrestlers are taking it, Diana, and a couple of bodybuilders have died on stage right after shooting up. At the time, I chalked it up to Rich just being a warrior. Why was he telling me this? Later, I realised he was trying to let me know that Davey was a potential candidate. By 1998, Davey was like a vegetable. He never left the couch. He had stopped working out. He didn't bother talking to me and ignored our kids, 10-year-old Georgia and 13-year-old Harry. His hands shook so badly he couldn't feed himself. He did make it to the bathroom, but that was about the only thing he did on his own besides shooting up. He was on sick leave from his job at World Championship Wrestling, which was WWF's biggest competitor, because he claimed he'd injured his back on a hidden steel door 2 months earlier at the Full Brawl pay-per-view while tag teaming with my brother-in-law Jim Neidhart. They were up against Disco Inferno and Alex Wright. Watching the match on TV at home, I noticed Davey struggling to power slam Disco. Power slamming was Davey's big move, but Davey seemed to have his hands full. It was like watching him try to pick up a wet seal. I was irritated with Disco. What was he doing to Davey? Why was he going up so heavy? I quizzed Davey about it on the phone after the match. Davey was furious. They had a fucking trap door under the canvas for Ultimate Warrior to burst through at the end of the match. They didn't tell Jim or me. It was 2 inches thick and had a solid handle on it. I hurt my damn back. He came home 2 days after the Full Brawl, fell down on the couch, and within 2 weeks he never wrestled for WCW again. I dragged him to every known healing practice I'd heard of to help him get better. Rolfing, underwater physiotherapy, acupuncture, acupressure, chiropractic clinics, and yoga. He'd go for a session or 2, then quit. I made a vow to myself to never sleep with Davey ever again unless he cleaned up. Then I tried to kill myself. It was a Friday night in early December. My daughter Georgia was sleeping at my sister Alison's, and my son Harry and I were watching the Tim Burton movie Edward Scissorhands. Davey was passed out on the couch. The movie ended, and I watched, despising him as he staggered to his feet and lumbered up the stairs. I knew he was on his way up to our room for another hit of morphine. He hadn't said a coherent word all night. I was so angry. While digging through his pockets looking for money earlier that day, I'd found so many bottles of pills my mind was spinning. Since I'd found out about Davey's drug addiction the previous Halloween, I'd been battling severe bouts of depression. I began seeing a psychiatrist who had me on 200 milligrams of Zoloft, an antidepressant similar to Prozac, per day. I heard our bedroom door close and I put Harry to bed. I sat at the computer and wrote myself a note. I don't know how much more of this I can take. Davey's a junkie. He doesn't even try to hide it anymore. My family won't listen when I tell them. They think I'm hysterical. As I wrote, I got more and more worked up. I mean nothing to him anymore. He couldn't make it more obvious. A little while later, I made my way up to our room and stood over Davey, watching him snore. He sounded like a vacuum sucking up water. He was totally unconscious. I felt like attacking him, but I knew I could hit him on the head with a cast iron frying pan and he wouldn't wake up. I stormed into our walk-in closet and snatched up a full bottle of Xanax from the hollow of one of his crocodile cowboy boots. I moved back to the bed and started screaming at him. "Look what you've done, you bastard. Look at me, you son of a bitch. I'm going to take your goddamn pills so you'll know what I put up with night and day. I want you to know what it's like to live with a vegetable. You make out like I'm crazy. I'm going to take them. I'm not kidding, Davey. Wake up." Davey slowly turned his head in my direction. "No," he mumbled. "Don't. Please don't. Call 911 if I mean anything to you, Davey." I dumped the entire bottle into my palm and stuffed them into my mouth, holding my hand against my lips to keep them from falling out. Chewing and swallowing, I ran to the bathroom and downed a glass of water. I ran back into our room and watched as Davey struggled to sit up. He was like a turtle on its back. The impact of what I had just done hit me. I wasn't sure about whether what I had taken was lethal or not, but I suddenly felt very frightened. "Oh shit," I thought. "I don't want to die. I grabbed the phone and dialed 911. I gave my address and said, "Send an ambulance immediately. I just took 100 Xanax. I had a fight with my husband. I don't want to die." There was urgency in the operator's voice. "Get dressed, unlock your door, and turn your lights on. We'll get an ambulance to you right away." "I don't want to die. I don't want to die." I hung up. I scanned the floor for a pair of socks. I made do with 2 unmatched ones, pulled on sweatpants and a loose t-shirt, thinking that it would be easier for the emergency room if I was wearing easy-to-remove clothing. I slid my feet into a pair of clogs, unlocked the front door and turned on the lights. I sat in the front room in a little antique rocking chair next to our bulldog Merrylegs and my cat Dempsey. Then I passed out. Later I learned my heart stopped 4 times in the ambulance on the way to the Foothills Hospital, but each time they managed to shock me back to life with heart paddles. I opened my eyes for a couple of moments the next day, and my little brother Owen swam into my vision. I reached to give him a hug, and that's all I remember until I woke up 2 days later. My mother was frantic because she had planned a big, jazzercise Christmas party in 10 days, and as a devoted jazzerciser, I was scheduled to be there. "Darling, you think you'll be able to make the party? Will they let you out in time?" I assured her I would try to be there, which gave her another thing to worry about. "I don't think we should mention to anyone where you've been." The day I got home from the hospital, I got fixed up for the party. Most of my family was gathered at my parents'. Davy disappeared for a couple of hours. There was a lot of private speculation as to where he had gone. My brother Keith drew me aside. "He's as bad as Elvis Di. You and your kids have to get away from him." My oldest brother Smith kept bringing me heaping plates of finger foods and patting me on the head. My sister Alison was as protective as a tigress, and my sister Georgia squeezed my hand every time she walked past. My brothers Owen and Brett were absent as usual. My sister Ellie was avoiding me, perhaps because her husband Jim Neidhart was in the car with Davy on their way to the home of Alison's ex-husband Ben Bassarab to get Davy a morphine fix. Owen and his wife Martha invited me to their home that Christmas Day. Owen sat down with me and lectured me sternly. "Don't ever do that again, Bearcat. If you had died, you would have left Harry and Georgia with a drug addict. I've known about Davy's problem for a long time. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but he has a real problem. I've carried him through numerous airports so he wouldn't miss his flights." When Davy told you about slipping in Brian Pillman's bathroom and hitting his head, that was a lie. I watched him crack that big porcelain sink in half with his head just before he passed out. You can do a lot better than him, Diana. You deserve better than this. Lots of guys would love to take care of you. Steve Austin is a big fan of yours. When a person gets to the point where they want to kill themselves because they are married to a drug addict, you have to leave. You have your kids to think about. I filed for divorce just before New Year's Eve. Brett and his wife Julie came over to our home that night. Julie talked to me in the kitchen while Brett cornered Davy in the living room. By the end of the night, it was decided Davy would check into rehab. He flew to the Alberta Alcohol and Drug Abuse Commission facility at Grand Prairie in northern Alberta the next day. One of the conditions Davy stipulated before going into rehab was that I drop divorce proceedings. So we reconciled. Sort of. Davy left rehab after 7 weeks, 1 week before completing the program. He claimed his kidneys were failing. The doctors in Grand Prairie disagreed, but Davy flew home for a second opinion. We spent the next day in emergency, where Davy underwent everything from a CAT scan to a spinal tap. No one found anything wrong with him. He was scheduled to return in 6 weeks for a white blood cell count. The wait was a nightmare. He tried every trick in the book to be checked into the hospital because hospitals administer drugs. He even passed out in a coffee shop in front of my sister Georgia and my mother and had to be transported to the hospital by ambulance. I met up with him there. The doctor recognised him and abruptly threw him out. "You're a drug addict looking for a fix. Come back when you have a real emergency." I was incensed. Why would he be looking for a fix when he had just come out of rehab? Dr. Donna Dupuy, the psychologist I'd been seeing after my suicide attempt shook her head. "Diana, would you say your husband is one of the best wrestlers in the world?" "Yes," I nodded. "Well, Diana, your husband is a professional actor. He's capable of convincing 50,000 people in an audience that he is genuinely hurt when he is not. How tough would it be for him to persuade a small gathering, say your mother, your sister, and you?" From that moment on, her words started to ring true. He would look so pitiful, lying on the bed and moaning. "My pain is so bad. Becky, make it go away. I feel like jumping through that balcony window so I can feel something other than all this pain." He called me Becky sometimes, for Becky Bearcat, a derivative of the nickname my brother Owen gave me. Bearcat Wright was a black wrestler who looked like an otter. His neck was the same width as his head, and it was fleshy, so it looked as if he was wearing rings around his neck. Owen used to tease me when I was little, and it stuck. I didn't know whether Davey was faking it or not, but 6 weeks later, when he got the results of his white blood cell count, it turned out he had a staph infection in his back. Less than an hour later, he was lying in his own hospital bed. At first, the nurses could not find a vein in which to start an IV to administer ultra-strong antibiotics to prevent the infection from spreading to his spine. Of course, he was given liberal doses of morphine to ease the pain. At that time, I had no idea how much worse things would get. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Does this in any way colour your perspective on the Bulldog?
On him as a person, I mean, I guess, yeah, a little.
Hard not to.
A little, yeah. Does it change my opinion of what I just saw? Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, again, it's not a like for like scenario, but does what happened with Chris Benoit, obviously that colours him as a person, does that affect the matches for you?
No, because I'd still watch them and go, he's good.
Yeah.
Like, he is really good.
Yeah, he can still be a piece of shit and a good wrestler.
Yeah, I think for me it's quite, not easy, but I can separate the two very easily.
So you compartmentalise
I'm just watching wrestling.
Okay, fine. Because I struggle with Benoit. Even now, I'm a bit better at it from the show because we've seen him in a few things. So I'm come to terms with it, but I find it very, very challenging.
I mean, there's probably some things, even now, I suppose, from hearing this, like if we were to watch another show that Davey's in, and it's probably more promos that I would hear something and go, ooh, or see him act a certain way and go, don't like that.
Well, put it this way,
but
I don't want to see him handing glasses of orange juice to anyone.
Well,
I don't think there's ever going to be a show, thankfully, we see that on. The one thing I will say is obviously it's verbatim quote from the book, so I'm not saying anything other than what Diana has said in that book herself. So again, I'd recommend people go out there, read it yourself, draw your own conclusions on it. I just know, again, as I mentioned earlier, that Diana does kind of like to be in the spotlight, and I'm not victim blaming here, because I obviously have no idea what has happened behind the scenes, but based on enough people that I'm more leaning towards taking their word on, not Dave Boy isn't one of them, but like Bret Hart and other people that I'm aware that have referenced Diana, they do say that sometimes she can create something that isn't there.
Okay.
And that, again, who am I to say what is and isn't? We will never know.
No one will ever know.
Yeah, and I'm not, like I said, not under any circumstances suggesting she is lying. But I do wonder if that is entirely the whole thing from start to finish truthful, or if there's elements that have been hammed up a little bit.
Yeah.
So again, we will never know because only the people involved will know.
Again, it's still interesting. It's still, even if hypothetically it was all untrue, still interesting. Like it's just
it's slander, isn't it? To be fair.
I know, but I'm not saying it is, obviously. But I'm just saying hypothetically, or even if it's all completely true, it is interesting to hear someone's perspective. But for me, I can, especially with wrestling, I can compartmentalize
person from character, distinguish the two.
For sure.
Okay, it's probably important, to be fair. Otherwise, with the amount of seedy stuff that happens in wrestling, especially in like more certain eras, but it's all over the place, and that's not to tar everyone with the same brush, but it becomes very tough to be a fan overall. Do you ever feel like we perhaps crack that window open too far to look inside and it's best left alone? Or do you think it's important to say, look, these people are highly flawed. We need to make sure and use them as warning stories for the next generation?
Yeah, maybe to a degree. Because, well, I think if people are going to idolise people, then yes, you need to know the good and the bad, for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree.
For sure. And yeah, if people, not even necessarily for viewers, I think if people are going into the industry, yes, it would be important for them to know the ins and outs. But yeah, I don't know, it's a tough one to actually have an opinion on unless you're in that situation, I think.
The foundation and roads of wrestling are built on the bodies of those that have died. And that sounds more artsy-fartsy than I intended it to, but it's just there's so many warning tales from one way or the other, whether it's drugs, whether it's, you know, gunplay, I mean, they've got everything from every type of crime you could possibly, and that's every walk of life to a certain point. But if you look at statistically speaking, per, you know, any line of business, like, don't get me wrong, you're going to have absolute psychopaths who work in offices because you hear about it.
Yeah.
But in terms of the number of wrestlers that have had these wacky, unreal situations happen to them, it's unbelievable. Like, and it isn't unbelievable because you go, actually, yeah, knowing enough about that person that I do, I can absolutely see X, Y, or Z happening to them and not bat an eyelid at it. So it's, and I think that'll be something that will be quite interesting to see as we go on, because it's always interesting to get the perspective of the people that were there at the time, whether that be through cameos, through stuff that's been written about them, or things that they have written themselves. So wherever possible, I'll try and filter those in. And any other good wrestling stories out there, like I said, feel free to shoot our way, because we might be doing some YouTube bits and pieces with some of these stories as we go along and make it kind of its own little entity, I guess. But Holly, back to the show.
Yes.
We've kind of put a nail in this one quite nicely, or tied a bow in it, however you want to word it. You like the main event with a 5-star rating. I like the main event with a 5-star rating. What would be your overall rating for the show?
Do you know what? I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Wow.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Even taking into account the matches that weren't so great, it had three matches on there that I really enjoyed. Yep. Great. Lovely. 7 out of 10.
I agree. 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I shaded 7.5.
Yeah.
But then thought no, because there was a couple of, like, Kamala, Undertaker, Repo Man Crush, and also we were helped by the fact that we didn't see all the pre-show shit, because that would have really dragged it down.
Oh, hell sure.
But you're right, I think it was actually a very good show, and it's one, like I said, and now you potentially see why I wanted to put it before us for this for so long, but it needed the time, because we're hitting at just over the 4-hour total mark now for this show. Seeing as it was a 2.5 or 2 hour 50-minute show, to be fair, near enough. That's quite impressive,
isn't it?
But we're not done.
No,
we're never done.
Oh no,
we're never done.
Oh heck,
we've got to go back. I'll let you go through your archives. Make sure you get there. But it's the time in the show that everyone cares the most about, quite frankly.
Show me someone who does care
from
about this.
Men and women and children of all ages. It is now time for Holly's outfit of the night. How many contenders have we got?
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
You can tell it is an early 90s WWF show. So, I will throw out a few names, then I'll let you go over the rest. So, Warrior Savage.
Yes.
Brett Bulldog.
Yes.
I want to be surprised by the rest.
Bobby Heenan.
Of course, we discussed it in part 1.
Yeah.
Oh.
Legion of Doom.
Yes, absolutely.
Ric Flair.
Robe.
Yeah.
Oh, Beverly Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're in there. Sherry.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a lineup.
Isn't it?
This is bold.
There's so many, because there's 9, I haven't done my usual, let's describe what they're wearing, because we'd be here for about 45 minutes.
And we've touched upon a few of them,
exactly.
To be fair. I'm going to say this, bold statement. This is one of the few shows that we have watched that is not lacking Jesse's flamboyancy.
It's not.
We have got enough.
I'd like him, but we don't need his clothes.
Carry on.
As in, I'd prefer him and Heenan.
Yeah.
Not my man. He can get in the bin.
So Heenan's... Oh, that's... Before...
Heenan can stay.
Heenan
Jesse can replace Vince.
Man, that would not work. That's a heel dynamic, but I want to hear it. Oh, who do I think you've gone for? Oh, yeah, no, I know. Bulldog.
Bulldog was a close second.
Oh, shit.
Very, very close second.
Sherry?
No.
Who you got?
Do you know what? Savage is my number one.
Wow.
Because it's actually, he does, there's obviously what he wears here, but they also show the, like, oh my God.
The previous footage.
Thank you. Previous footage. These are my favourite looks from him.
Wow.
Super, super flamboyant. Cowboy hat, glasses, all the tassels you could ever ask for. Literally my favourite Savage outfits here.
Wow, I would have said that Warriors was actually better than Savages in this one.
Oh,
I was convinced. I was so convinced that you were going to go Davey.
I have written Davey is a very, very close second.
That's fine. Well,
very.
Savage has returned to the top of the pile. He's probably got at least 3 or 4 victories under his belt.
I will do my little table so we can keep track of who's
genuinely fascinated by this, but you can't let it sway you as well. You can't go, I want Jesse to get another one
please.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do we think I work like
that? Sometimes, depends on the mode. But
maybe.
The biggest takeaway for me personally, I'd like to ask you as the final part before we go into the socials.
Yes.
Is Bobby Heenan now in your good graces? Is he staying there, do we think?
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
he's put him with Vince.
Yeah.
He's always going to come out good.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he still would if you put him with other people that I liked, but I don't know who.
We haven't seen much of him with Gorilla yet. We've seen bits and pieces, but him and Gorilla, for me, is the pairing.
Okay.
Love it. Jess and Gorilla are good.
Yeah.
I slightly prefer Heenan and Gorilla.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to. There are certainly shows where that combination takes place. But before we head into the sunset, Holly, please can you share the socials with the listeners?
wintwicepod@gmail.com and wintwicepod on Instagram and YouTube.
Yep. Thank you very much for the support you've shown us so far, and hopefully you continue to do so. Let us know any shows that you'd like us to review and thoughts on any shows that we've covered. And like I said, I will read them out. I've had fun, Holly. Have you?
I have had fun. I'm very warm. and very hungry.
I'm leaning back so I don't get under tit sweat, quite frankly.
The upside down McDonald's.
Yeah, that is too close to the bone, actually, that one. But we'll let that slide. That's fine. No, that's fine. I mentioned the spitting comment earlier, so it's only fair that I get a few bullets in return. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Hope you've had a wonderful time. Until the next one, take care.
Bye.
Until next time, this has been a Win Twice Wrestling production. Peace out.